in over the wicket. Pants down the pitch, hammers it back past the bowler. That is 4 runs to bring up the 50, and Rishabh Pant gets to 50 in just 40 balls faced, 52 not out. But Rishabh Pant has come in and played an absolutely glorious little cameo.
Well, we're just a few minutes away now before the start of the third session on day 3. India 154 for 4. It's been breathtaking cricket in every way. Wickets, catches, staggering batting from Rishabh Pant, and staggering numbers, you have to say, for poor old Jack Leach, which is the subject that I'd like to begin with, because there is those. If you've been listening for the afternoon session, you would have heard starkly differing views on whether Jack Leach, how he might be feeling. He's bowled 6 overs for 59. 2 of the 4 sixes that he was hit for by Rishabh Pant were fairly close to the field. 2 weren't. And I just want to know from Gareth Batty. I mean, it was only 4 years ago that you were in India with England, and you've had 25 years of professional cricket, and I just wonder how you would be feeling. You know, we had Steve Harmison saying he's bowling for the team. It's a team game. He's almost had his man out, but he's going for 10 and over.
Yeah, it's a real difficult one, because I totally get Harmy's approach, and he's saying, look, the percentages are in our favour. He's running up, he's bowling over the wicket into the rough to a left-handed batsman. It's going up, it's going down, it's going sideways. Nobody knows, so it takes some special batting. But it's how the ball arrives into that rough that is the most important thing from a bowling point of view. And because he was going up a little bit out of the hand, it makes it less of a risk for the batter, because he can get down the pitch, he can dictate the length of the ball a bit more, as opposed to the ball being direct. So then Goffey's argument was, well, nobody likes to go for runs. Well, they don't. And quite often as a spinner, you sort of tighten up more and more and more as you feel as though you're not in control. And if you keep getting smacked out of the ground, I don't care who you are. 1, nobody likes it, and 2, it's very difficult to retain that confidence and retain that normal stock ball, or that presence of mind to say, right, I want to just bowl it a fraction quicker here, so that I'm dictating that you are going to stay in the crease here, because you can't run down to a ball hitting the furthest away bit of rough outside your eye line. You're going to have to stay there and watch it bounce into the rough and then play it, my friend. And at the start of the whole spell, Leach actually did him. He bowled one nice length, got the inside of the inside edge of the bat, but it hit the massive thigh pad that Pant wears inside the sort of as it juts out on his thigh, and dropped onto the ground. So he's kind of done him. So Pant then has gone, I'm going to learn from Stokes. I'm going to whack him out of the attack. And as long as he goes up, I can get down the wicket, which I feel for Jack Leach. It's a horrible place to be. I don't care what anybody says. Captain will be happy if he gets him out at 1 for 60. Jack Leach is not happy at that point. He's in a world of pain. I truly feel the pain for him.
Jared Kimber's analysis was telling us that that basically Rishabh Pant feasts on left arm finger spin. It's like giving strawberries to a donkey.
What? Is that a thing? Does everyone know? You said that like everyone knows that. Who's coming? Anyway.
What, you don't have a punnet of strawberries in your fridge for a donkey walking in back garden?
Just in case a donkey comes past, yeah. Talking about donkeys, Gareth Batty has gone for 34,500 runs roughly in his professional career. And I just asked him if he'd ever been in this kind of situation, going at this many runs. He couldn't think of any off the top of his head. I've got 2 for you, Manners. One was Simon Kerrigan at the Oval a couple of years ago, which most English fans will remember. And it pretty much ended his career. He's been struggling ever since. He's still a talented bowler, but really struggling. But there's another one that you and I saw, Manners, when Bryce McGain bowled against... don't laugh like that. Bryce McGain bowled against South Africa when he came back from a shoulder injury and clearly shouldn't have been playing. There was a late minute, Marcus North was sick and had to be pulled out. Bryce McGain came in and Jacques Kallis running down the wicket and hitting everything.
It was his debut, and he made his debut and he was 47 years old, wasn't he?
He was 39, I think, yeah. None for 149 off 18, I think, was his figures in that his only test, surprisingly.
See, I turn around and blame the captain there. how is the captain just keeping exposing this guy to that sort of punishment? That's like a boxer not going down, but just constantly getting whacked in the chops.
To be fair, Ricky Ponting did take him off quite a few times and brought him back, and the same thing just kept happening.
Oh, right. Well, then fair dues. Then it's just tough.
My memory was he came on for 5 overs, got smashed everywhere. Ponting ripped him out of the attack, and then kept him out of the attack for about 40 overs, came back, and it happened again.
Right, play's underway. Here's Jofra Archer to Rishabh Pant, who pushes defensively out on the offside. I'm not going to name names here, Gareth, but you would have been aware, of, if not experience of, those unfortunate times when a captain has had a player foisted upon him in his 11, a player that the captain hasn't necessarily wanted or doesn't have faith in. And sometimes you see a captain say to a player, right, well, you've been given to me, and you're just going to bowl because, you know what, the selectors have said you're good enough. Well, I'm going to let you prove it or disprove it. Archer in once again, and it's pushed away defensively by Rishabh Pant into the covers on the offside, and there's no run.
Yeah, definitely. And you see it on how people are used. The biggest compliment I can pay Joe Root as a captain is in this innings he got the spinners into the game really early to give them confidence, to get them in the game, to feel like you're my men, and then pulled them out and got the seamers back on. He captains with empathy and understanding as well as skill and intelligence for me, which is basically what Leach needs now, definitely.
Here's Jofra Archer, once up to the crease now, round the wicket to Rishabh Pant, and that's pushed out towards cover. Once again, it's fielded by Dan Lawrence, and there's no run.
There's also Jason Frazier. Do you remember when he played his debut in India?
He took 12 for 500, didn't he?
I think he took 4 for 200 in the first innings, and he took 8 for maybe 130 or 140.
I was serious.
Innings.
I wasn't being facetious.
Yeah.
It was about 12 for 400.
Yeah, it was. It was incredible. Basically, he took a wicket or was hit for 6. And every ball, the Indians were just coming down the wicket and hitting very long and very hard.
It's extraordinary to watch, wasn't it?
And played one more test, and he was part of the world record chase for South Africa, wasn't he?
Flicked away behind square on the leg side by Rishabh Pant, beautifully timed. But there's a man at long leg, Dom Bess, who does the fielding.
So he played that test, took 12 wickets against India, and no one really knew what to make of it. And then he played his next test, and it was when South Africa chased 400 at Perth. So he certainly had an entertaining 2-test career.
Yeah, he took lots of wickets at a very high price.
12 in a game, though. You got something to work with there, blooming heck.
Well, that's what you start with on the Tinder profile, isn't it? You maybe don't fill in the rest of the figures.
Well, Jofra Archer is running in from the Anna Pavilion end in this empty M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai, where it's a balmy 30 degrees as opposed to the less than balmy -2 sleet outside the commentary studios. Archer is in once again outside the off stump, and again it's left alone by Cheteshwar Pujara. India 155 for 4.
You lost me with the Tinder analogy. I'm a social media struck, well, technology recluse at best.
I love that you think it's social media. You must know what Tinder is. You're with all the young fellas.
I know it's the dating stuff, but I wouldn't have a clue how it all goes down and how you go about it. No, nah, beyond me.
One of my favourite things is to take my friends' Tinder profiles and just...
This Archer in again, nudged out on the onside, and there's no run at the end of the first over after tea. So you've had none of the young players at Surrey asking you to help them compile their Tinder profile then?
No.
I wouldn't have a clue either.
Anything technology-wise, they would give me a very wide berth.
No, it's good fun to go through your friends' one. So you grab your phone off them when they're late at night, and then you just flick for them. And you go, no,
right. I think
you wouldn't like her.
I think we should move on, Jared. 155 for 4, 42 overs gone. Pujara 53, Rishabh Pant 55, and Jimmy Anderson is having a long chat with Joe Root. I don't think Jimmy's going to bowl because he has still got his glasses and cap on. But Joe Root, as he has become so adept at doing, getting a second opinion, Gareth? Or
Yeah, I think we just saw Jimmy walking off there. It may have been taking his cap and sunglasses off. I think he is. I think it is double seam. Anderson and backing up Jofra Archer's first over. And this is the period in the game where if you can just prize a wicket now, England's straight back in there. You know, they're not snubbed out of this game. It's one of those shell-shock moments where India played so well with Pant and Pujara complementing each other beautifully. Pujara playing classically and beautifully, but still scoring at a good rate. Pant obviously taking the game to him. Almost in the same session yesterday, England had Root and Stokes do a similar sort of thing to the Indian bowlers. So it's a fascinating period of the game, and why wouldn't you go to England's best bowler?
Indeed. Here he is once again over the wicket to Rishabh Pant, who slaps his first delivery, which is short and wide and a bit of a loosener. I'm not sure that Jimmy Anderson was expecting to bowl this over, and he's been immediately cut for 4. It was very much a loosener from Jimmy Anderson. I don't think that was the post-tee plan initially, was it?
It's a strange one, because you would have thought they would have had the discussion sort of walking out of the change room that Jimmy, you're going to go, and Jofra, you're going to go and have a think about your field. You might talk about, finer points of the field once you get out there, but surely you would, I don't know, I assume that was just the norm, and most teams I've played in, you kind of know who you were starting with after the break.
It's just a late change of mind, just a gut feel, a hunch.
Yeah, which, if you're the bowler, you're saying, yeah, thanks very much, best time to bowl. Beautiful.
Listening to every ball of England's tour of India live and exclusive here on TalkSport 2 as Jimmy Anderson is in again and Rishabh Pant pushes that one up towards mid-wicket. So Jared, is Rishabh Pant, I mean, he doesn't bat in 6th gear all the time, does he? And I'm just wondering, against the seamers, I mean, does history show that he's able to go up and down through the gearbox?
He will attack. He's got a bit of a weakness outside off stump, and he's been dismissed a lot flashing at balls. It'd be interesting to see the actual lengths that they try here. In fact, I'm just having a look at a replay. That's the exact length that they like. So a little bit wider than you would bowl to a normal batsman even. Short, back of a length.
Anderson in once again. Pant plays from the crease, pushing out towards cover, no run.
And the reason that teams bowl there is it's almost twofold. One, he cuts and he slashes a lot in the air, so he gets caught a lot in that sort of cordon area. And when he's not doing that, he gets a little bit tentative and he sort of leaves his bat out hanging on a bit of an angle, so he can be caught defending or attacking. So generally that's what teams try and do. But look, he can hit fast bowling as much as he can hit anything realistically. He's a brilliant striker of the ball against everyone. But he is, a lot of what he does, I know it doesn't always look like this, but there's a lot of thought behind what he does. It's just that his thoughts are slightly different than everyone else's.
Unconventional thinking. Anderson in again. Pant pushes up towards Jack Leach at mid-off, and there's no run.
So when he was at Sydney and Nathan Lyon was bowling into the foot marks, on the 4th or the 5th day, he was attacking Nathan Lyon while the ball was spinning away out of the foot marks. And his thought was, if we could get Nathan Lyon out of the attack, or we could get Nathan Lyon to try a different line, we would be in a situation where we go on to win or draw the game. That's not obviously how, Pujara is going to think of these things, but that is how Pant thinks about his cricket.
Jimmy Anderson in again. Pant opens the face of the bat, defensive bat, and steers it into the gully, and there's no run.
I actually think there's a little bit of genius in his thought process. I watched quite a lot of that Lyon performance, where Lyon tried to bowl straighter, bring in LBW and bowls into the equation and bringing him in at slip, and he looked dangerous at times. Pant ran offside of the ball and said, I'm just going to get offside and I'm going to kitchen sink you anywhere from long on around to just in front of square leg. And he took him down. He played some amazing shots. As soon as he tried to go on the offside, it looked like getting out, because you're playing with half a bat against the spin.
Here's Anderson again. Pant punches off the back foot now, sweetly timed. There's a chase on towards the extra cover boundary, but put your money on the ball. That was a good effort from Dan Lawrence. He certainly got the legs pumping after that one, but it was beautifully timed off the back foot from Rishabh Pant. Stunning. And it takes India on to 163 for 4, and Rishabh Pant just keeps going. 63 off 54 balls.
It's probably not the best time to say this after he plays an effortless back foot drive through covers, but I think pretty much all teams and all kinds of bowlers think that his weakness is just outside his eye line, because he wants to drag the ball to the leg side, or if it's outside off stump, he's going to lose patience a little bit and try another shot. So that is what Australia did when they bowled very well to him. But especially in Brisbane, I noticed that when he had to, he could leave it and just gear down to maybe the fifth gear rather than maybe third or fourth. But he does have that ability, which is maybe that makes him a different sort of player than someone like McCullum or an Afridi.
Yeah, I think it's a modern way of thinking. You match your skill sets up to what's been bowled.
Archer in swinging Yorker, turns out to be a low full toss, and it's driven for 4 straight back down the ground by Cheteshwar Pujara. A sweetly timed push, really. He never hits the ball that hard. Gareth, I just wanted to ask you a question, going back once more to the Rishabh Pant Jack Leach situation. Leach has bowled 6 overs for 59. Rishabh Pant has hit him for 4 sixes. Does Joe Root err towards protection now? Just say, I'm sorry, pal, you've been knocked out, you're gone. He's all over you, and I'm calling the fight off. Or does he want to give him that chance to redeem himself and to get rid of him? Obviously there's the match situation, so I'm just talking about in principle. Here is Archer once again, and that's slapped out towards cover, wideish mid-off Jimmy Anderson Fields.
I would love to give you a definitive answer, but there isn't one. I think the captain will understand his bowler, he'll understand where he's at, they would have had discussions. I know definitely from the way that Joe Root uses his bowlers that he's got empathy with him, he understands where he's at, so he wants to use him in the right time to suit Jack Leach for him to get a wicket and get back in the game. That may be to come against Pant, but have a different way of bowling the ball into the surface.
Archer in once again. It's left alone outside the off stump. India remain 167 for 4. Still a long way behind England's 578.
The one thing I do know, do not have the conversation. Have the conversation with him. Try and get into his mind so he know where he's not going to be feeling good about himself, but try and appease that feeling in his mind by just having a conversation. Don't let him sit in the corner of the room on his own, stewing on it. Nobody coming around. Oh, the other thing is people coming up saying, don't worry about it, pal.
That's steered away out towards cover. Archer runs around and does his own fielding. I've got sort of the thought in the back of my mind that we'll always remember. It's like Jared Kimber was just, it was 7 years ago, I think, that Bryce McGain on debut for Australia took none for 140 in 18 overs. And, Jared and I said, we'll always remember this. And we'll remember, we will say, do you remember when Rishabh Pant took Jack Leach for 10 and over in his first 6 overs of a test match? Wouldn't it be nice if we were able to say, but Jack had the last laugh? Because he may have gone for 10 and over, but he had him caught at long on. So I just think, wondering, that's left alone again outside the off stump as Archer bowls to Pujara. Just wondering whether, because it's not like England have made 350. They've made 580.
Yeah, but that's still not helping Jack Leach, is it? That the team is in that. That's what Goffey's argument was. The lad is still feeling the pressure, and he's one of yours. So how do you find the solution for him, who's feeling a little bit isolated, to still be one of yours? I suppose is the ultimate game for Root now from a captaincy position.
Archer in again, and a little bit of reverse swing in again towards Pujara. Plays defensively, no run, 167 for 4.
Because let's not forget, this isn't the situation that you're talking about with the fella from Australia. Leach has played 11-12 test matches. He's helped win games for England. He is part of that unit. This is an isolated incident, so let's not forget that. Let's not sort of trash what's gone up till now. He's done brilliantly well. He's done really well. He's performed. He's won games. There is an amount of I suppose ownership within the team for him. He's just had a tough period. So let's find the solution and move forward with that solution for Jack within the team environment, it's a difficult one to get to. I'm not suggesting I have the answers.
There's another difference between the performance of Bryce McGain that we were talking about. He bowled poorly. We cannot say that Jack Leach bowled poorly. He may not have bowled his best. Here's James Anderson once again. Steered on a beautifully open-faced bat from Rishabh Pant, and it's just steered. There's only a slip and a gully, so there's a big gap there. And that has come off the full face of the bat. He's run it to Jimmy Anderson. Has just got the scowl going now. Doesn't like that one. I mean, Jack didn't bowl terribly, did he?
No, just touching on this Pant shot here, I reckon that's what Jared was talking about. He's bowled just a fraction wider of off stump, that good length going over the stumps. And because Pant his first instinct is to score, he just fends a little bit. He's ended up playing it very well, like you say, but as a bowler, you're thinking, I've got a chance here.
Here's Anderson again. He's gone a little bit too straight this time. It's pushed out to square leg, straight to the fielder. Yeah, actually, I mean, so it's come off the face of the bat, and he's run it down to the third man boundary, and I've described it as playing it very well. But he is reaching for it, isn't he?
Yeah, he did play it very well, but if you think how far his hands are away from his body, how far his eyes on contact are away from the ball, there's just something to work with as a bowler, which is what Jared was talking about.
171 for 4 in reply to England's 578. Pujara 57, Rishabh Pant 67 from 56 balls. Partnership of 98. Anderson in. Rishabh Pant drives up towards Jack Leach at mid-off, and they scamper through for a single. One of the rare breed of cricketers who bowls with a different arm to that with which he throws. Jack Leach. It's really, really rare. I can only think of maybe one other off the top of my head.
Zimbabwe, David Breen?
Yeah, that's right.
No, we can think of one between us.
Yeah, that's. I wasn't even going to mention his name because I didn't think many people would ever have heard of him.
I've got a feeling that Dorster's at Hampshire. I've got a feeling that Liam Dawson bowls left arm but throws right arm.
Can't remember. Here is James Anderson once again, and Rishabh Pant pushes into the covers, and there's some hesitation there, as there tends to be with Cheteshwar Pujara. With the greatest of respect, when he's at the non-strikers end, the strikers just think, well, you just need to be careful with the quick singles with Pujara. Not that he's not an athlete, but he's got knee issues.
I tell you what, it's the exact opposite when he's the one hitting the ball. He's off like a shot, isn't he? He's almost... He was in with Coley earlier, and he hit one basically straight to point. He was 3 yards down the pitch going, yeah, and Coley was like, nah, chill out, my friend, chill out.
Mark Nicholas has just mentioned Kevin James as a left arm quick through right-handed Hampshire. He was after your time, wasn't he, Mark? During your time. 172 for 4. Pujara 57, Rishabh Pant now 68. Jimmy Anderson bowling his 11th over, none for 34. He's going for just over 3 and over, which is unlike the Jimmy Anderson of the last decade or so, as he's back of a length here, and Pujara steers it into the gully straight to the fielder, and there's no run. England, for those of you joining us late into day 3, to catch you up on the action, England batted on for a little under an hour on the third morning, adding a further 23 runs to finish with 578 all out. They were then reduced India to 73 for 4 with a pair of wickets each to Jofra Archer and Dom Bess. A magical catch from England captain Joe Root, and another from Jimmy Anderson at mid-on, which was only marginally less impressive. But now a partnership of 99 has begun to rescue India as he's struck on the hand here. That was an extra bounce from Jimmy Anderson. And Pujara has been struck on the right hand, that battered, bruised and occasionally broken right hand of his. Well, both hands actually. he's repeatedly struck on both hands. He's now, he hasn't ripped the glove off, but the right arm is hanging limply down by his side. So suddenly Jimmy Anderson gets that little bit of extra bounce from... We've seen a few seamers actually get it from the Pattabhiramam gate end, and Pujara, well, he knows he's in a spot of bother, and it's one of those ones, he might be in denial, Gareth Batty. He's not taking the glove off because he's going to let the physiotherapist do it. It's one of those ones where I don't want to know, just have a look, don't tell me.
Yeah, you quite often get that, don't you? Your first instinct is to take the glove off, but when it's real bad, you'd rather not know sometimes, so you do keep it on, and you feel, whether it's your foot, your hand, in this instance it's your hand, you feel it sort of throbbing, almost like going back to the cartoon character where you take the boot off and it ends up 15 times the size of what it looks like with the boot on. You feel for Pujara, don't you? He's just been in Australia, had a brilliant tour, been almost a punch bag within the great skill sets that he possesses as a cricketer. You thought he'd have just got on the plane thinking, I'm going back home for a bit of respite, I can go about my business at home on beautiful batting conditions. But no, he's still getting walloped on the hand and taking a few blows for his beloved Indian team.
Mark Nicholas, for the next 20 minutes. So I don't know how long you're going to spend talking about an injury.
He's going nowhere. Shereshwar Pujara is going nowhere. He is made of teak, this man, and you don't want to sort of say this openly, Gareth, do you? But if you're the fielding side, you kind of hope it might be bad enough for him to have to leave the field for an X-ray, and you can have a go at somebody else. But he's going nowhere. He's just dragging the glove back on without any great show of pain. Actually, he doesn't show pain. He sometimes shows a hint of frustration when he doesn't time a ball, but he'd never show pain at the ball hitting him.
No, he strikes me as the more old-fashioned cricketer, where if it hits you, don't you dare rub it. Just take the pain, absorb it. Don't show any sign of weakness.
Show the pain, lad. Archer at nothing like top pace, back of a length, and Rishabh Pant is back and defends out sort of squarish cover. Each defensive stroke, well, not each one, but most defensive strokes by Rishabh Pant are things that sort of threaten to have been an attack, and then they resort to a defence. He's definitely that way round, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think that's why more often than not he gets in good positions, which hence that little bit of a corridor outside his off stump. He's a bit more circumspect.
Yes, he's on the back foot there, and actually that one is a bit more of a defence with some sort of exaggerated dancing of the feet afterwards. Yeah, I mean, you're generally much better set up to defend if you're set up to attack, and you're more positive in your defence.
Yeah, and I feel for him a little bit, because we're sort of saying, oh, you know, he's come out and he's played all these shots and so on and so forth. He's not given a chance, he's not given a risk, he's played beautifully. It's just very different and I suppose a more adventurous thought process and way of scoring his runs.
Archer again then bowling round the wicket. Pant who sort of sways and ducks both at the same time. The ball flies down the leg side. Good footwork from Jos Buttler. He takes the ball around about chest high, moving to his right side. And it's just a quiet period here. It's been a remarkable turnaround by this pair. At one stage they were, well, until very recently they were scoring a run of ball. They're now 99 of 114 balls. And when you think that Pant has gone way past Pujara, and Pujara hasn't been a slouch, he's played well, he's 57 from 121, but Pant is 68 from 61. That's a great effort as that ball goes in a sort of a push out to sort of extra cover area, and there's no run comes of that. Pant now he looks such a cool dude, doesn't he? It's like this is all, you know, just part of life. Don't get too stressed about it. He's what do they say now these days? They hang out. You know, he's hanging out, isn't he? He happens to be in the middle, that's all.
I'm not down with the kids, Mark. I don't know the full lingo.
Well, you know this sort of thing. Here's Archer, and he bangs that into the surface, and Pant this time really does defend, standing tall, and knocks it down, takes his bottom hand off the bat. And he now looks so completely comfortable with his footwork, his lining up of the ball. That's what I'd say with him, perhaps is a strength, how well he lines the ball up.
Absolutely, he's a technician of picking line and picking length quickly, and then aligning his body into a position.
Most keepers do, but all the others smash it square of the wicket on the offside, having lined it up well. He could hit it anywhere. I mean, Adam Gilchrist could hit it anywhere. Matt Pryor, another fabulous striker of the ball. There's been a lot of them in the modern era. Virat Kohli, though he did like square on the offside too. That comes into him from round the wicket from Archer. It just looks now just a little tired. Anyway, he pushed it to mid-off. There's no run. End of the over. 172 for 4 in reply to England's 578. England kept India in the field this morning, in fact, for a total of 190 overs and 1 ball before they were finally bowled out for 578. Credit to Jack Leach, who more than did his bit this morning. He finished unbeaten. Then there was a terrific new ball burst from Jofra Archer. He picked up Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill. Gill played some nice strokes, by the way, 29 in 28 balls he made, before Dom Best got rid of Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane. There's a win double if ever there was one. Kohli caught it short leg off one that turned and bounced. Beautiful delivery, classic off-spinning delivery. And then he bowled a full toss, which Rahane slapped through extra cover, but it didn't get through extra cover because Joe Root took off to his left side like a bird, plucked the ball one-handed, rolled over, and stood all casual to say, well, it's what I do most Sundays.
And right on cue, here he is, Dom Bess. A very impressive first 13 overs. He said he felt like he'd put in the hard yards in Sri Lanka and maybe had some rewards that maybe didn't back up maybe the balls, but he's certainly bowled beautifully here, and all that hard work he's been putting into his action is serving him very well. Certainly not a minefield for bowlers to bowl on at the minute, and you need all the skill and craft and guile that he's showing beautifully at the minute. 2 for 28 off 13.
Here he comes then to bowl to Cheteshwar Pujara. He comes down the pitch to a full toss. He made it into, and he drove it without timing it to mid-on, who's up. Be interesting to see if Pujara is willing to go over his head. It's not naturally his way. So no run came from that strike. Yeah, the thing with Dom Bess to me is just developing the confidence. Make him believe in himself. Here he comes again. A slip, a short leg, and a short mid-wicket of the close-ish fielders. Little drive to mid-wicket for no run. I mean, a lot of those. Pujara gets very close to the ball and often turns it into a Yorker and digs down on it, shutting his wrists and therefore the blade of the bat, and it goes without power to mid-wicket. He taps the ground, just ever so slight crouch in his crease, taps the ground, and now comes down to defend with bat and pad together, and it goes out on the offside. And to Pujara, I would actually think about having the old-fashioned offside bat pad quite straight, which they don't really have anymore because DRS has changed all those angles, but specifically the way batsmen use bat and pad. They tend not to have them together. They tend to lead with one or the other. But in this case, with the line Bess is bowling, as long as it didn't put him off, oh, that's a short ball. And Pujara is back and swings it away to the square leg boundary. He knew exactly where the field was and exactly how he'd punish that rare bad ball from Dom Bess.
Yeah, just tried to get a bit more pace on the ball here. Dom Bess just lost his action, lost his front arm and dragged it down. But that man Pujara, he's just an absolute technician. Gets back quickly, rocks onto the back foot. Possibly one of the more easier scoring options for him with that delivery, but still got to put him away, and it was done with effortless ease.
Effortless ease. Here's Bess again. Pujara back and classically defends like we'd taken a picture there for a coaching book of a back defensive stroke to a spinner, and the ball trickled back down the pitch. Their partnership worth 103, come off 121 balls. What a switch in initiative in the game after England seemed to be able to grab it and hold on to it, you reckoned earlier, but that's a single to mid-on as Pujara used his feet nicely to drive, and mid-on had too much to do moving to his right, so he couldn't save the single. Yeah, I suppose the answer is England. If you get Virat Kohli, never mind Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, if you get Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane, you kind of think you're on the way to getting the game, and then you get a counter attack from Pant and a resistance from Pujara, and it's a stark reminder of what cricket can be like in India, guys, isn't it? Goffey's slipped in to join us.
Yeah, you're not kidding, Mark. I mean, you go back to our day when you were out there in Australia and we were playing, and you used to get past the Slater, the Taylors, the Ward, the Damien Martin, and then guess what? In walked Adam Gilchrist and said, right, I'm going to score 100 off 55 balls here just to rub it in. And as a bowler, you'd already probably got through 15 or 16 overs before he come in. So you had nothing left in the tank. You have to almost into your reserves. But that's Test cricket. That's the beauty of Test cricket. That's why the ultimate cricketer for me is one who performs over many years in that form of the game. And that's why we've got some greats who are playing in this game at this moment in time. Joe Root, Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad's sitting watching.
Ben Stokes 4 in the England side, aren't they? Archer again, a nice straight ball which Pujara studiously defends, like a man who's studied the game all his life and is now putting that study into operation. Hey Goffey, I've discovered what could be the answer
What's that?
to our tiredness. It's called a ginger shot. Not sure where it's from. It might be. It's one of those cold pressed juices, ginger shot. And I've come alive, Goffey.
Have you?
Yeah, I
You just have an espresso.
I'm going to bring. Well, I might have one of those too. Archer bowls again, and back goes Pujara to cut, and he hits it in front of square. The ball didn't get to him, but it didn't matter because he was hitting it down. He got enough on it. A lot of Pujara's boundaries don't race into the rope; they trickle into the rope. But it's another boundary. It's 181 for 4. It's a good shot played off the back foot. It's a good player starting to dominate.
Oh mate, I think his innings has been of high quality so far. I really do. We talked about Joe Root and the way he played, how much time he had at the crease, his game plan, playing against the spin and the seam. Well, Pujara has played quite beautifully. He's played all round the wicket, used his feet against the spin. He's used, and as soon as the Pacers have played a slightly off delivery, he's hit it for a boundary.
Yep, and he has. 66 from 129 balls. Punt on 68. Here's Archer again. Nice straight ball. Defended. What do you defended out in the offside? Just a quick line before we come back to ginger shots. A quick line on Archer, because he's bowling nice and tidy here. Is that? Do you want him to run in and bowl quicker in shorter spells, bowl less often, faster, or bowl as he is now?
Well, the first spell was quite magnificent, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pure pace, high skill levels, great line, that extra bounce with the extra pace, and got the breakthrough.
Bowls again now. He does bang that into the surface, and Pujara stands tall and gets a single from his punch down to where a silly point fielder would be. Nothing that Anderson at mid-off could do.
Well, perhaps what he needs, Mark, is one of those ginger shots, because you do it this spell now. Listen, we're 1 wicket away where we could run through them, couldn't we? Jack Leach then can come back on. It gives him confidence. Dom Bess, the ball's turning, the odd one's bouncing. But it's like anything. When a batsman gets in, even if it's reverse swinging, it's so much easier, as Root and Stokes and Sibley showed. But when a new batsman comes in, it can be very difficult starting off, whether against spin or whether it be against seam if the ball's slightly reversing.
He taps the ground and waits now for Archer, who bangs that into the pitch, and it loops as he sways back from it to Jos Buttler. Akash Chopra has joined us, our friend over in India, former Indian opening batsman, of course, and now a leading voice of the game in the media. Akash, we're just sort of talking really about counter-attacks. Goffey was talking about bowling at Gilchrist in the day. England are feeling it against Pant, and we have to say this fine innings from Pujara.
Absolutely. Chalk and cheese, fire and ice, but then they're both complementing each other, and there is a different method to success, and that's quite evident.
He leaves that, another bouncer which drifts down the leg side. He leaves it alone. It's the end of the over with 182 for 4 on the board. We're just saying though that specifically what we saw, all of us on television, Rishabh Pant's innings in Brisbane. He finished 89 not out to win that test against the Australians and take the series. But in general in his career, this impact from the middle order, he's not a player you want to move up any higher, to me. Just going to open maybe in a T20 game. But I think for an attack that's tiring or a ball that's got softer, he's a fabulous striker, isn't he?
He's unbelievable. You're absolutely right, because he's the only Indian wicketkeeper to score a century, a test century in England, in Australia. That was on the previous tours. This tour, of course, what he accomplished at Gabba was spectacular. And so in terms of his skills, Mark, you're absolutely right. He's a notch above the rest. He's got the skills to score everywhere, but that's the right number.
Dom Bess bowls to Pujara, who works it to mid-wicket, and they come through for a single. That's well run. That's because Pujara saw the opportunity, called and went, and in the end Rishabh Pant could cruise through. So a nice single to mid-wicket. That's the other thing. They've managed to keep the score ticking. It's not just been about punts, 4s and 6s. It's been about their ability to work the ball into spaces and keep the scoreboard moving.
Yeah, it has, and I think they're both terrific partnership. They've complemented each other really, really well. Like I said, Pant has counter-attacked the England bowlers, and Pujara just kept the scoreboard ticking along, rotating the strike. Very difficult for England.
A full start from Dom Bess. Where will he look to land this? I'll talk to Akash actually after this ball. He's got to encourage him to drive, I think. He's got to get it full around off stump and just outside, hoping to catch the edge of the rough. He goes back to cut, doesn't go in the air. They had a man in at short point. It does go in the air in the gap, but not to the man at short point, so it's fielded on the boundary by Jack Leach.
Yeah, I think it's the right line. I think if you're going to lob it up, he's wanting to lob it up outside off stump, try and hit the corner of that rough bit. And if he wants to cross back shot from there, there's every chance he's not going to get 100% contact. So that's where I think Dom Bess will be looking to. We'll be looking to get Rishabh Pant out.
Pujara's use of his feet, I would think 50% of the time as he pushes that to mid-wicket for no run, another full ball from Bess. Pujara's use of his feet to defend is a lesson, something that people who struggle against spin should really take note of. You can come down to a spinner and get near the ball. You don't have to attack it. Now he comes down and drives it in the gap past mid-off. Beautifully placed. Although mid-off got a hand on it, it will trickle into the rope. Yes, it does. They used to say that many of Bradman's boundaries only trickled into the rope, primarily because he was trying to get a 3 so that he'd wear the fielders out.
Or keep the strike if it was the last ball of the over.
Well, there's that too, yeah. Very good point. Yeah, very good. I don't know how true that is. There might be something in it, I suppose. I think it's the sort of urban myth that comes from playing the big boundaries in Australia. And so 3s come anyway, particularly if the outfield hasn't been cut. Often they won't have had the equipment that you can zip round the outfield with these days. The big gang mowers in quite the quality of today back then.
When we've been watching today's play, Mark, do you think it was definite plan to counter on Jack Leach?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Here's Bess now, and now that's where Pujara defends with his pad, and one of the reasons I'd have a silly point in. But yes, I do think it was a deliberate counter-attack off the back of Stokes. So I think they watched the way Stokes played, listened to Stokes last night, saying, well, when Nadeem got those balls to bounce into my glove and my chest from out the rough, I thought, if I'm going to go, I'd rather be caught in the deep looking to attack him than I would be caught around the back looking to defend him. And doubtless Rishabh Pant, who was standing behind him, would have learnt from that. 188 for 4 here in Chennai. Dominic Bess bowling to Cheleshwar Pujara, who goes back and thinks about working the single squarer than where he actually hit the ball, which was quite straight. He has 72, Pant has 69. Akash, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you would have seen over the years, and indeed played in sides, who've taken opposing spinners apart in India. Is there anything you've seen in the two England spinners that you think they haven't got right for English conditions? For Indian conditions, I apologise.
See, Dom Bess has done the best that he could. He's bowled a line which is slightly outside off. We've seen Bumrah, Ishan going round the stumps, and then Ben Stokes actually starting around the stumps, trying to create a rough outside the right-handers off stump. So Bess, I'm saying, is doing all right because he doesn't have the kind of control that, say, maybe a Graham Swan used to have. So he's put in his best. It's just that the counter-attack of Rishabh Pant has left Jack Leach speechless. He understood that there is a rough, it can be exploited. Best form of defence in that case was attack.
Archer bowls now to Pant, who cuts him. Doesn't time it, gets a single to extra cover where 2 fielders scramble for the ball. And just while Archer's walking back, would you get Leach on again soon to Pant, or do you think there's too much risk in that there's too much mental concern from Jack Leach?
See, you can't hide a bowler, Mark. Eventually you have to bowl. The fact is that a left-hander, left-arm spinner bowling to a left-hander should be considered as a game-changing option, a wicket-taking option with the amount of rough that's there. But good players like Ben Stokes did to Shehbaz Nadeem, Leach will go after, or rather Pant will go after Leach.
So would you be happy to bring Archer bowls and it's pushed into the leg side by Pujara? Would you be happy to bowl Leach over the wicket, aiming at the rough again? And if so, would you bowl it quicker or slower than previously?
A little quicker, because you don't want Pant to step down the pitch that often. And it's a sword that cuts both ways. Eventually, Stokes got dismissed to Shehbaz Nadeem, who hit him for about 3 or 4 sixes. So that's the way it should be. A little faster in the air, target the rough, and bowl slightly wider outside off is what I'll say.
Full ball from Jofra Archer, and Pujara, as is his way, leans forward into the ball. Nice bent front leg, head over it, and pushes it to mid-on.
I think the concerning thing for Jack Leach was not just punt, because that can happen. A batsman can take a bowler down. I mean, that's happened with the history of the game. But it was also Pujara using his feet and playing in both sides of the wicket, which would have been a concern for the captain, Joe Root. But I tell you what, Akash, one of the memories I have is Sidhu taking down John Embury on a tour many years ago when I was growing up, before I played for England.
Back goes Pujara, offside single. Sprints it, has to, because cover's alert to it, and in fact he'd yet again judged it well. Another point about Pujara, good judge of a run. I was there covering my first tour. I covered for the Daily Telegraph, and 93.
Get it? It was unbelievable viewing. Just get hitting him out of the ground. Unbelievable spell of hitting.
He did it in one of the warm-up games for India A, I think, and you took it with a bit of a pinch of salt. To see it happening in the Test matches was mind-blowing. Archer now round the wicket to punt, who pushes him back. Oh, lovely timing. He just pushed him down the ground, and it takes a sliding stop from I think it's Joe Root chasing that ball. Is it Joe Root?
Yeah, Joe Root.
Joe Root.
It's everywhere. He has to be Superman, doesn't he?
True,
He's been everywhere.
There is that. Yeah. All he hasn't got is wings. Slides in front of the sight screen, saves the boundary, but runs are coming quite easily now, fluently. We're in the 50th over. There's 192 on the board, all in response to England's 578. All this cricket has really made for compulsive viewing, and I hope and trust compulsive listening too, as Archer bowls a length ball outside off stump, and punt actually stuck on the crease for once. Drops his bat and then it goes to gully, and there is no run. So the end of that over. I'm making way now for Andrew McKenna after Goffey's had a word to say, I'm sure.
I'm just going to say, Akash, can you remember the Sidhu moment in '93?
I do actually, and that was Embury, and then he took the attack to Mutaiya Muralidharan as well. And those were the days where the off spinners were not bowling the Dusra that much, Guffey, and there was no carom ball.
Oh, what?
And we're talking about Sidhu, who was called a strokeless wonder to begin with, and then he worked so hard on his hitting abilities that he was hitting sixes for fun. But yes, a lot has changed since then. Now you can't just take the off spinner apart, because these off spinners are also getting wily by every passing day.
It is going to be Dom Bess to bowl another over, right arm over. Pujara coming down the pitch, turns it into the onside, and Burns will field at mid-wicket, no run.
I'll tell you what, I'm trying to think of other occasions where spinners have been taken down. I mean, I remember, was it Lakshman against Warne, when Warne kept bowling outside leg and he would hit him into out over extra and then over mid-wicket, and Tendulkar did it as well.
Bess is in, and it's
Yes.
Pujara covering up no run.
No, you're absolutely right. It was that tour to India where India really practiced hard to counter the threat of Shane Warne. Shane Warne went around the stumps as well, targeted the rough, but India was up to it.
Pujara waits 73 not out. India 192 for 4. He's down the pitch on this occasion using the front pad, pushing it back to Dom Bess.
And another one I do remember was Brian Lara in Australia in the West Indies, taking Shane Warne down there. Oh my word!
Those were some good fights between those two, weren't there?
Just kept hitting him over long on.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bess in, that's slightly short, and
Pujara has turned it into the leg side and given it away. Well, out of nowhere. Is that a deflection off Ollie Pope and short leg? I think it might be, because it looked for all the world he was just going to hit it through mid-wicket. Rory Burns it is who's going to go down in the scorecard as having taken the catch, but it's a ricochet off of Ollie Pope, and it's a third wicket for Dom Bess, 3 for 39, and the wall has been broken down. He's turned, hit it into Ollie Pope's, I think, left shoulder or the top of his back. It loops up, and Burns takes the catch. Pujara cannot believe it. He hits his bat into his pad, but England have a massive, massive breakthrough. 5 wickets down. India 192 for 5.
Oh, I tell you what, Dom Bess, he's had some fortune, hasn't he, over this few tests he's played this winter. In Sri Lanka, that 5 in that first test, and then today, one with a full toss, a diving catch by Joe Root in the covers, and then that one, Pujara, who played a magnificent innings, middled it off a shortish ball onto the shoulder or back, can't quite see yet, of Ollie Pope, and looped to mid-wicket. A big wicket for England, and India now 192 for 5. The game's changed here live on TalkSport 2.
Oh, Akash, that's a big breakthrough for England.
Oh, it is, of course, especially keeping in mind that India is playing only 5 proper batsmen plus Rishabh Pant, a longish tail. Washington Sundar playing his only second test match. Ravi Chandran Ashwin's numbers with the bat have dipped in the last 24 odd months. So it is a huge moment once again. And it's come against the run of play. And seriously, I can't believe how it has actually panned out in the end. I remember another ricochet catch. It was at the Wankhede Stadium, India versus Australia, if I remember correctly. And that also changed the game. If I remember the name of the batsman, I think it was either Rahul Dravid or Sachin Tendulkar. The ball just ricocheted. It went up in the air, shot mid-wicket fielder, diving forwards, taking the catch. And I think India went on to lose that game.
I'll tell you who else won't believe it, is Jack Leach, because he's seeing Dom Bess, he's seen Joe Root pluck one off out of the top left-hand corner of the football net. Now he's seen that one ricocheting around. He's going to all parts, and Dom Bess, it would appear, is getting the luck today. Now, of course, that could all change later on, but Jack Leach is probably thinking, OK, it's going to be like that today, is it?
Well, it won't be, because Sammy said the wicket's a wicket and the captain will be happy.
You two have been going at that for at least an hour. He's still going now. Anyway, Sundar is at the crease, left-handed batsman. So 2 lefties at the crease now. So Bess will enjoy this, taking it away from both of them. Slip and short leg in place. Bess goes in. Sundar, big stride forward, pushing out on the offside. Joe Root has come in as a short drive man on the extra cover region. And England will continue to try and put pressure on.
Well, what they're going to do now is get Jack Leach on. 2 left-handed batsmen in now.
Yeah, Bess turning it away from the lefties. Leach would turn it into them. Bess, this one's actually a lowish full toss in the end to Sundar, who punches it down to Dan Lawrence at mid-off and ends the over. 192 for 5. India trail by 386. They're 51 overs into their first innings here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, I think that's what we could do here, Joe Root, the captain. It's a good time, actually. Another left-hander come to the crease. It's only his second test match, Washington Sundar. Pants in, he's set. 72 off 70 deliveries. He's slowed down of late. And he might just try and counter it again if Jack Leach comes in. And at this stage of the game, another wicket will be crucial for England if they're going to win this test match. So it's a good time to bring Jack Leach back into the bowling.
Akash, does Pant have licence to play this way all the way through, or will he be concerned about the length of the tail?
No, he'll bat the way he's been batting, and while we are focusing a lot on his counter-attacking abilities, the sixes that he has hit, it's been a very calculated attack. For Dom Bess, he's not hit a ball that is slightly outside off. He's been leaving them alone, and he's whenever he's gone after him, he's gone with the spin. When you talk about Jack Leach, of course, that's a bigger threat, and it had to be neutralized the way he has. I think he's got the license. This is the way he's going to play as long as he's there. And now, maybe a little more, because he knows that you've got Sundar, you've got Ashwin, and then 9, 10 and Jack. They're proper 9, 10 Jack. Shahbaz Nadeem, Jasprit Bumrah, Nishant Sharma.
Captain Gough has his wish. Jack Leach is replacing Jofra Archer. There are 3 men out on the leg side boundary as he's going to bowl to Rishabh Pant. He's in, outside of off stump. Pant with a huge stretch forward with the front foot, covering the line. It goes past his front pad and through to Jos Buttler with not a great deal of spin on that occasion, but he's just covering the line. 72 not out. Deep backward square, deep mid-wicket, long on, out on the leg side. Pant gets one that turns and bounces. Just drops this down at his feet, and Ollie Pope will field at short leg.
Don't take your eyes off this, folks. Should be entertaining. Whether he decides to go the same route and hit sixes down the ground, or whether he just sweeps.
Leg slip in place as well now for Pant. He's getting one spinning out the rough. Jumps up, takes him on the body, drops down at his feet. Jos Buttler will pick up.
That's a better line actually from Jack Leach. A little bit wider. Use the footholds that have been created for him there.
He waits at the end of the run, spins himself a couple of catches.
Pants down on one leg, trying to flip it over his own shoulder. He's playing the scoop. It's going to run away for 4. I'm not sure if he did get a touch on it or not. It's certainly run away for 4 to the total. And it is a boundary. He did get a touch on it. He goes to 76, 196 for 5. And the Rishabh Pant shows continues.
I think with all the fielders out on the boundary on the leg side, he's got the right idea here. He has got a little leg slip in, we know that. But listen, this is the game these days. These guys are brought up playing T20 cricket. They've got the confidence to play these shots. And as we can see, again, there's no fielder down there. It's a great shot.
Leach, left arm over. Pant's coming down the pitch. Doesn't play the big shot on this occasion, just pushes back down to the bowler. 196 for 5. India still 382 behind. We're only in the 52nd over of this innings. The scoring rate 3.8 and over in this test match. But the wickets column is India's problem.
Pant's going to come down the pitch, hits into the leg side off of Leach. Has he got enough over this one? There are 3 out there, but the man on the mid-wicket boundary would have to be 4 rows back in the stands to take the catch. It goes away for 6. It's 10 runs in the over. 1, a boundary 4 after a flick over his own shoulder. That launched over mid-wicket. The Indian 200 is up. They're 202 for 5.
Poor Jack Leach. They've just been blocking it for the last half an hour. Soon as he comes back in, the first over, 10 off it, a 4 and an unbelievable hit over mid-wicket for 6. The power he has and the timing that Rishabh Pant is showing today, it's just great viewing. You can't take your eyes off it.
It's almost like it's a personal thing at the moment with Pant and Leach, isn't it? He's taking it personally.
Well, it is. He's getting paid to bat, and Jack Leach is getting paid to bowl. And at the minute, bat is beating ball on that partnership.
Rishabh Pant, 82 from 76 balls faced in this test match. 8 4s, 5 6s. And the 5 6s have all come off of Jack Leach. 48 runs in the 11 overs in the final session of this day already. Right, will normality resume as the left-handed Sundar will now face Bess, and that is roundabout off stump, and Sundar coming forward just pushes back down the pitch quietly, no run.
Yeah, it's a good time to bowl. Ball at Washington Sundar, the new batsman to the crease, the right arm off spinner Dominic Bess, turning the ball away from the left-hander.
Slip, short leg, it's a lowish full toss. It's almost brilliantly stopped there at short extra cover by Joe Root. He dived away to his left-hand side. He's taken one absolute worldie of a catch already today. He very nearly stopped that one.
And as a bowler, he'll be just hoping he can get the ball a couple of overs at Washington Sundar, Jack Leach, rather than at Rishabh Pant.
Bess, as Sundar comes forward to this one that's roundabout off stump, little bit of drift into the batsman, and there is no run. Well, you wonder what's going through Jack Leach's mind at the moment. He must be a little bit scrambled. He probably had a good chat with Jeetan Patel, the spin coach, during the tea interval about what they could do differently, but unfortunately for him, Rishabh Pant has continued in the same vein as before the break. That is shorter and wider. Sundar has hit that with no timing whatsoever, and it trickles out to Joe Root at short extra cover. Sundar still looking for his first run of this innings. Dom Bess with the 3 for so far, 3 for 39. Of course, got a 5 for in Gaul in the first test of the series in Sri Lanka, and said he didn't think he bowled that well, but he'll take it. Bess comes forward, comes in. Sundar comes forward, pushes out on the offside. He certainly seems to have got a bit more rhythm today.
So you've got a part of the game now where Jack Leach will say, "Oh, just give him one, will you?"
Everyone drop back a bit. Long single, please. and Sundar has no interest in it whatsoever. It's pitching outside of off stump. With the turn, it straightens a little bit to stay outside of off stump, and it means it's the end of the over, and Rishabh Pant is on strike with India 202 for 5 on TalkSport 2.
Pass me the popcorn, guys, for this next over. Looking forward to this. Dom Bess has bowled quite well today. Well, he's bowled beautifully today. Let's be fair to him. In Sri Lanka, I thought he was hit and miss, but I think so far today he's got the ball in the right areas. He's created pressure. He's got the odd ball to turn and bounce, and he's created doubt with these Indian batsmen who normally play spin really well. And then Jack Leach at the other end, 7 overs, none for 69, going at nearly 10 and over, and has had no answer so far to Pant's stroke play. Using his feet, coming down to him and hitting him over anywhere between wide mid-on and square leg, and normally clearing the boundary 5 times.
Quick one. Does he get another 6 this over, do you think?
Well, there's every chance he'll go for it.
Leach stands at the end of the mark next to umpire Chowdhury and is going to come in and bowl left arm over.
Pant immediately swings into the leg side, gets a top edge, and it will land at short fine leg. That was the moment that Jack Leach's day could turn all in his favour. It's looped over, and in the end they are going to scamper through for 3.
Well, there's a relief for Jack Leach. He managed to get 3 rather than 2, so let's look at the positive. Fortune favours the brave, they say, and right there you saw it. Went for a sweep, a big sweep, top edge, and run away for 3 runs.
So Leach will get to bowl to Sundar now. 205 for 5. Yeah. Jos Buttler from behind the stumps. Come on, Leachy. Now the field for Sundar from Leach is going to be a slip, leg slip, and short leg. So 3 men around the bat. There still are a couple of men out on the boundary just as some cover, just in case Sundar wants to keep going. Now, there's very few people in the ground, it's only staff, but there's still someone moving behind the bowler's arm. And Sundar is waving his arm, saying, come on chaps, give me half a chance here. Right. Everyone is now out of the bowler's batsman's eye line, and the bowler is on his way. Leach comes in, that turns and bounces round about waist height, and it's dropped down by Sundar at his feet, and there's no run.
That's how it was a better pace, that. Not as much air on that one. Bowled it into the pitch, a little bit of dust, a little bit of bounce, but Sundar played it quite well actually.
Leach in once again. That's a little bit of air. That is cover driven by Sundar. What an off the mark shot that is. But that is just what Goffey was talking about. The previous ball was sort of bowled with pace and fizz into the pitch. That was given a little bit more air. It was outside of off stump, and Sundar was able to get his hands through that with a glorious cover drive, and it's 209 for 5.
And then again, a lot of dust came up as he bowled it, but it was just too full. And when you've got the field he's got with 3 people catching around the bat, you can't give the batsman that much width. It's a free hit through the offside.
Sundar taps his bat a couple of times. Leach goes in. That one's, again, the bit quicker. It seems to fizz a little bit through. 81.5 kilometres an hour, that one.
Come on, lads.
And it's just played out quietly, and there's no run. Leach back on his way once again. That one seemed to zip through, maybe stay a little bit lower. Sundar solidly in behind, though, turns it out on the onside.
It does look like he's trying to bowl a little bit, bowl it a little bit quicker so far this spell.
Final one of the over. Leach is in. Well, that turned sharply. Sundar manages to turn that around to backward square leg. Will take a single. It will end the over with the score on 210. Here on TalkSport 2, Jack Leach's 8 overs have now cost 77 runs.
Yep.
So 368 is the deficit. And Neil Manthorpe is going to be taking up the commentary as we start for about the last hour of the third day of this fascinating Test match here on TalkSport 2.
Thank you, Maka. It has been fascinating. India is still trailing by 368 runs. Washington Sundar has 5, and Rishabh Pant has 85 from 77 balls. 8 fives, 8 fours, and 5 sixes. It's still a long way behind. I have to say that Rishabh Pant needs to go on to a daddy 100 if India are to avoid the possibility of a follow-on, you would think. Dom Bess, low full toss, driven sweetly by Washington Sundar down the ground. He's just striving, I think, a little bit at the moment as Dom Bess, and he's bowling rather too many full tosses, and more as his spells go on. Steve Harmison, he's I don't know whether he's trying to bowl the off-spinner's equivalent of the effort ball, really get one to spit and bounce and a quicker delivery.
A little bit of excitement. He's got a few wickets under his belt. He's in a good position, possibly trying to help his mate out, Jack Leach, by getting the wickets. Just could literally be trying just a bit too hard. Maybe he's shown a little bit of inexperience.
There's a short cover in place now as Bess is in once more, and it's driven by Washington Sundar towards extra cover where it's fielded by Jack Leach. There's a short cover on the drive, but also almost a silly cover, just wider than a silly mid-off on the offside. India 214 for 5. Washington Sundar moves on to 9, and that one's dropped short by Dom Bess, and it's cut away for 4. There's nobody sweeping on the cover boundary, no deep backward point, and that was drag down, a real drag down, close to a long hop as Dom Bess has bowled. As the ball hits the boundary triangles, we have a close-up view of the ball, and again it's looking very, very tired.
Yeah, this is where Dom Bess sort of finds himself at the minute. He probably is just trying a little bit too hard, inexperienced when it comes to sort of bowling in these conditions, but also in his Test match career, trying to get it up there and just outside off stump, and then trying to bowl that little bit quicker on that fuller length does sometimes just make you drag it down like he did there.
Here is Dom Bess once again, and that one is driven up towards deepish mid-off, and there's no run. If you're a conventional off-spinner without the exoticism of an Ashwin or a Sacklane, then if you try to bowl wicket-taking balls, it's a hard job, isn't it? Really, patience is a conventional off-spinner's best friend normally, and he does seem to be mixing it up, maybe just a little bit too much, Dom Bess, and as a result of full tosses and variations in length. This time it's pushed out towards deep cover. Jack Leach does the fielding, and they go through for another easy single.
And patience is the key for Bess, and you mentioned there the margin for error if you haven't got the one that goes the other way, the carom ball that Ashwin's got. It is margin for error is that little bit smaller, but he's got 3 wickets under his belt. He's in a good position, mentally and physically, and maybe he's just trying to making something happen when he doesn't need to.
This one is flicked away off his pads, a quicker one from Dom Bess, fired in, doesn't turn much, and it's turned away very nicely, easily, for another couple of runs, with Rishabh Pant moving on to 86 from only 78 deliveries. And India, well, they're still trailing by 358 at 220 for 5.
And what we've had from Dom Bess is he's bowled very good lines, very good lengths. He's stayed patient. He's worked well with Anderson and Archer after tea, before and after tea. Everything seems to be in his favour. The England captain trusts him to set a ring field, and all of a sudden he gets a wicket, he gets a breakthrough, and if it somehow feels now since then he feels as though, right, I've got to go and run through India. It doesn't happen. Off spinners, finger spinners don't always do that, or they real struggle to do that. Take wickets in big clusters. Arguably the pressure that you build and the atmosphere you put in around the batsman is how you get your wickets, rather than actually bowling them wicket-taking $1 million balls that sort of dip and spin and spit at the batsman. you're basically asking the batsman to make a mistake by basically a virtue of patience, as Joe Root, the England captain, who I actually think is a very, very fine bowler in his own right, doesn't bowl himself half as much as he probably should do, is going to come into the attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Not before time after 55 overs. His first delivery is outside the off stump. I like the pace that he bowls at as well. He's quicker than your average spinner. And he is a spinner. I mean, he does get good revolutions on the ball and he gets good turn. He's just got to slip in to the left-handed Pant outside the off stump, much too wide that time. I just thought he might have had another close fielder, or at least a catching fielder, not necessarily close. Maybe I would have liked a gully or a... Anyway, he's in. That one turns sharply, but not from the straight.
I think what you're going to find, man, is he's just going to steal it out there. He's going to throw it well outside off stump and say to Pant, he got the patience to leave me 6 out of 6. I'm going to spin it out the rough. Can you leave me 6 out of 6?
And he is once again left alone once more. It is wide, and I like that because Pant's been strike rate of between 110 and 120, and if he suddenly got to play out a maiden, which he hasn't done throughout his innings, it might just disturb his equilibrium. I like that idea. Here's Pant once again, does play at this one, pushing it out towards cover. I like that idea a lot. Yeah. Can you tolerate 6 dot balls?
Absolutely. Can you stand there and let them go by when you see them as wide as they do?
India 220 for 5. Root in again, and it's driven powerfully, and it won't be a maiden over, and he won't have to play 6 dot balls. Jimmy Anderson at long off does the fielding, and Pant keeps the strike and moves on to 87. Don't forget, for all the best reaction to the day's play, if you've missed it, and I suppose the majority of our listeners won't have been up with us at 4 o'clock on a Sunday morning, so as a recap of the action and the best reaction, make sure you subscribe to the Following On podcast. We're bringing you a new show every single day throughout the series, including the match highlights, as I said, big name guests, of course, and exclusive interviews. So download it for free today from all good podcast providers.
It's drinks manners, so I thought I'd just chip in with the other score from the other test. So most of this test, Bangladesh has been cruising against West Indies. It's not West Indies' full-strength team. And they set the West Indies 395, which is obviously quite a big chase in Asia, especially if you don't have your best batsman available to you. Currently, the West Indies are 379 for 5. They need 16 runs with about 8 overs to go. And in fact, it might be less than that. I think they've just hit a 6 as well, the West Indies. Kyle Mayers, I talked about him before. He's a 28-year-old batsman from the West Indies with a first-class batting average of 28. He is currently on 198 not out in his first test in Asia. Well, his first test anywhere, but he's playing in Asia against the full-strength Bangladesh, and it looks like he's going to make a not-out 200, and they are going to chase down the 5th highest score in the history of Test cricket with the second 11 and a debutant who's never made a run in first-class cricket.
How's he made it to the age of 28 as a specialist batsman with an average of 28?
Have you seen some of the averages in the West Indies domestic cricket?
Who does he play for?
Is he
Leeward Islands or whatever?
I thought he was from Trinidad. I can look that up. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. But
that's amazing.
Incredible. I think they picked him because they thought he was a very good player of spin.
Yeah, he is.
And so far, he has proved that correct. Yeah.
Typical West Indies, though, wouldn't it?
Bonner made a big score before. I don't think Bonner made 100. I think Bonner went out just before then. But Bonner batted for well over 350 balls. I don't know how to pronounce Bonner's first name. Do you know how to pronounce it? Manners? It's Nkrumah. Luckily, he didn't play. He never played T20 cricket, so I didn't have to worry about it too much. But he made 86 from 245 balls at a strike rate of 34. So he basically carried the, a lot of the pressure early on. But what an incredible effort from Kyle Mayers, who's a Bayesian, so from Barbados.
Staggering, absolutely staggering. Chasing down 395. They're not there yet. They need 10 now. So okay, all right. They're that's a good one to lose.
They need. What do they need? They need 15 with 7.3 overs to go, and Mayers is on 199.
Absolutely extraordinary.
I'll pop in when he gets his 200, and I'll let you know when they've they've won/lost/tied the game.
And
they are 5 wickets down. Things can happen.
Yes, indeed. For the benefit of those of you who have missed much of the day, let me just recap from the beginning. England resumed at 555 for 8 and batted for just under an hour, adding another 23 runs. Dom Bess made 34. Jack Leach unbeaten 14. James Anderson was 1 not out. There were 3 wickets apiece for Jasprit Bumrah and Ravi Ashwin. 3 for 84, and Ashwin 3 for 146. He bowled 55.1 overs, which is the most he's ever bowled in his illustrious Test career in an innings. India then, needing 379 to avoid the possibility of a follow-on, lost Rohit Sharma for 6, a beauty from Archer. Shubman Gill for 29. Archer the successful bowler again, and wonderful catch, diving catch from Jimmy Anderson at mid-on, a lofted-on drive. Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane were then accounted for by Dom Bess for 11 and 1, and then Cheteshwar Pujara also caught, unfortunately, a short ball from Dom Bess, pulled into the shoulder of Ollie Pope at short leg, and the ricochet, the rebound, was grabbed by Burns at mid-wicket. Quite remarkable dismissal, and an unlucky one as well. Now then, it's Dom Bess to continue, and it's a high full toss, and it's pulled away behind square on the leg side. That was a genuine thigh-high full toss. That was a poor delivery from Dom Bess. And Rishabh Pant moves into the 90s, 91 from 85 balls.
Bess has bowled far more terrible deliveries.
He's getting worse as his spell goes on.
He is, than Leach has, though. I mean, comparing their figures doesn't make any sense, but he's bowled, I think that's his 5th knee-high full toss, and he's bowled 2 half-trackers.
Here is Bess. He's got 3 wickets. He's bowled some very good balls as well, but he has bowled some loose ones, and that's pushed away defensively. That's a better delivery from Dom Bess. Pant remains on 91. Surely CricViz tells us how many full tosses he's bowled, does it? Or do we have to wait for that information? It's not on go. Here's Bess once again. That one lands right in the block hole. It's almost a half volley length delivery, and it's pushed up to mid-off, where fielded by Dan Lawrence.
And BCCI don't allow Hawkeye data for their series to go internationally.
I thought you were able to look round the side.
I can go on and count.
Oh,
so
no.
if you want, I can go on and have a look at the pitch map and count them.
That's a bit hard. He's into his 19th over. It'll take too long. Here's Bess once again. Down the wicket. Slice drive from Rishabh Pant. Out towards long off, and it's caught. Jack Leach takes the catch, and Rishabh Pant, for the 4th time in his career, is out in the 90s. He's gone for 91, and Dom Bess has got rid of the danger man, and India are 6 down. Bess has 4 for 53, and if Jack Leach has had a horrible day with the ball, at least he's got safe hands for his fellow spinner. And that one turned as well. That's a good piece of bowling from Dom Bess, and Rishabh Pant, with his eyes on 100, has just been a little greedy, looking for half a dozen sixes. What a timely wicket.
What a timely wicket. And I was just about to praise Rishabh Pant for a fantastic innings and putting the bad ball away, as well as putting the bowlers under pressure. It is a fantastic innings, we have to say that. 91 off 88 balls. He's basically blown England's left arm spinner out the attack. And even though we talked about how much bad balls that Jack Dom Bess has bowled in this innings so far, I thought that was a good bit of bowling there. He's bowled a full toss, and then the next ball, he's just chucked it a little bit wider, but he's chucked it a little bit higher as well. He's basically said to Pant, if you're going to come out, you're going to have to come out wider, with the ball going away, and the ball has just grabbed a little bit. It's just grabbed a little bit of spin, and Pant, even though he's gone through with a shot, he's just got the sort of outside quarter of the bat. And I have to say, Manners, it's a very, very good catch by Jack Leach, because he's come in 15 yards off the line. He's not diving as in full stretch diving, but he's had to go onto his knees, takes it two-handed, and I'm not sure what more relief it would have been for Jack Leach. First of all, catching the ball, but then seeing the back of the danger man, Rishabh Pant. Fantastic catch. Very, very good bit of bowling. And England now will feel as though they can hopefully wrap up this Indian innings. And it'll be interesting to see where they go from there. Ashwin has got hundreds under 4 Test match hundreds under his belt, but I think when you look in the grand scheme of things, England will fancy their chances to knock over India for about under 300, and that will be a fantastic achievement.
Just to chip in with the other test match, because it is incredible what's going on there. Myers has brought up his double century and then hit a 6 next ball, and then Josh De Silva at the other end has been bowled. So they now need 3 runs to win with 4 wickets in hand to do the 5th highest chase in test match history. But Myers, as I said, on his debut, 4th innings in an incredible chase, is 200 not out. First class average coming into this match, 28.
Must be up to 30 by now.
He's probably pushed 30, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe 30, maybe 30.5.
Yeah, I think so. 225 for 6, India. Trailing by 353. Washington Sundar 14. Ravichandran Ashwin has yet to score, and he's just faced his first delivery. It was really interesting. I was looking at the leading run scorers in series between India and England, and Ashwin is in 5th place. He's got 6 half centuries in series against England, but I know that he hasn't been at his best with the bat for the last 18 months or so, as that one is pushed away defensively by Ashwin up towards mid-on. But he has made a habit of scoring runs, and really useful runs, and not just 50 but 70, 80, 190. That was the last ball of the over from Dom Bess, and India remained 225 for 6, trailing by 353. Rishabh Pant gone for 91 earlier. Cheteshwar Pujara made 73. Shubman Gill 29. But now, I don't know, India just need to try and get through to the end of the day. And the pitch is dusting up, there's no doubt about that. There's more turn now, and there'll be even more on days 4 and 5. As England captain Joe Root told us, and it was backed up by his vice captain Ben Stokes, they don't want to bat a second time if they can possibly avoid it. So, every indication from what they said was that if they could enforce the follow-on, they would. And as we've been talking about for much of the last 3 days, or at least some of the last 3 days, England have got a squad of 19 players. They could, if they needed to, replace the entire bowling attack. Well, you wouldn't necessarily want to replace Tom Bess. I don't think he'd need that, but you could bring in fresh pacemen if they have to bowl consecutive innings to take 20 wickets. Jack Leach is back into the attack, and the first delivery is pushed away behind square on the leg side, and they go through for a single as Washington Sundar moves on to 15. I really like that, bring Jack Leach back into the attack now that Rishabh Pant's gone. If he can just take even 1 wicket, but a couple would be a soothing balm.
Absolutely, Manners, and it goes what Bats was saying before, the empathy that the England captain has for his team, as individuals as well. And I think it's a good move to bring Leach back in. Managed to nip a couple of wickets, a massive confidence booster, because they're going to need him in the next innings.
Slipping a short leg in for Jack Leach, who's bowling around the wicket to the right-handed Ashwin, who leaves that one alone outside the off stump. He's bowling high 70, low 80 kilometres an hour as Jack Leach, as he's in once again, and this one is slapped away just tiny bit short. Really, you can't describe it as a short ball, but maybe not quite, maybe a couple of feet shorter of the length that he's aiming for, and Ashwin steers it away behind square on the offside for a single to the man sweeping on the cover boundary.
And I think that's the point that we were trying to make earlier, Manners, about Leach's trajectory. When he throws it above the eye line, when he bowls full, he bowls it above the eye line, and the batsman feel as though, the Indian batsmen feel as though they can get at him. When he bowls flat, it just bowls a touch shorter.
He is once again to the left-handed Sundar, pushes defensively out to silly point.
So it's a sort of caught between a rock and a hard place for Jack. On his margin for error is so small that when he does want to bowl that little bit quicker and bowl that little bit flatter, he has to really hold his action and get right over the top.
Nudged away defensively by Sundar behind square on the leg side to backward square leg, and there's no run. India 227 for 6, trailing by 351. Long way to go for the home team. had a bad day today as Jack Leach is in once again and has nudged away again behind square on the leg side, and there's no run. The over comes to an end. That was a much tidier over from Jack Leach. In fact, that's his most economical over of the 9 that he's bowled. Just 2 runs came from it, but he's still got bruising numbers. 9 overs, none for 79. More from Steve Harmison, and then you'll be with Mark Nicholas for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, bruising numbers, Manners, but hopefully he can give himself some confidence going into what is going to be the business innings. The innings when the spinner really earns their corn in the subcontinent, which is the match-winning innings, which is the innings that then the second innings to win the game. And whether it's Dom Bess, who has bowled reasonably well, his numbers probably suggest that he's bowled very, very well. And Jack Leach has had a struggle, and the way the Indian batsmen have enforced themselves on Leach, he's got to somehow get some confidence back, because England's going to need him in that next innings to really sort of try and win this Test match. And Ashwin, who has said before, who's got 4 Test match hundreds, but hasn't batted that well in Test match cricket over the recent times. So England will fancy their chances to get India out before they get anywhere near 280 to 300.
His best bowled to Ashwin, really good off spinner. They asked for LBW, but it's hit his front pad, huge stride, and outside the line of off stump. They really shouldn't be reviewing that. Also, the indifference of the umpire should tell them that it's not worth the review because of umpire's call, and Root has decided not to review it. Ashwin batted very well in Sydney, remember, to help save that Test. So he's got a bit of form of late. Welcome to all our TalkSport listeners who join us here on TalkSport 2. There's an LBW appeal against R. Ashwin, but England have not reviewed it. Here's Dom Bess again, trying to get some purchase on the ball and not managing to on that occasion. Ashwin goes back and defends, and that'll be the main method for Ashwin here. Washington Sundar more likely to attack, and Ashwin more likely to defend. I heard the guys talking about his competence as a batsman. Make no mistake, he's got 50s because he's earned them, not because he's had a wild slog. He stands with his back quite aloft and defends on the back foot very comfortably. All the time in the world to play. Been a funny old day for Dom Bess. He's bowled some Jaffas, picked up some fluky wickets, been the beneficiary of a brilliant catch, and outthought Rishabh Pant. And I'm of the opinion that over bowled by Joe Root was educational for Dom Bess, and was a reason behind the wicket falling, as he bowls very straight at Ashwin, who tries to shut the face on the ball and gets a leading edge back down the pitch. Another one of those that another day, if the ball bounces, it can pop up off that leading edge and maybe go back to the bowler, but it didn't on that occasion. Be very careful of playing in front of your front pad and then shutting the face too early. Very careful. He waits again, does Ashwin. Now he plays that one beautifully, very different from the ball before. Shows us the full face of the bat, and that's the sort of defence that any top order batsman would be pleased with. A bit front on perhaps, but let's not be picky. A slip and a short leg in place. The short leg's quite deep, and he goes forward and plays that one even better. That was a lovely bit of sideways on there. So you're listening to us, of course, on TalkSport 2. We're bringing you the whole of England's tour, one-day matches and T20s as well, 4 Test matches. A reminder that the best way to listen is by downloading the free TalkSport app from all the good app providers, and I really mean that. I've been encouraging friends. Once you've downloaded the app, all problems are over. You just swipe left and you're listening. You won't miss a ball. Finding it on DAB, it's actually DAB Plus, I think, but don't download the app. Hope you're enjoying the live commentary. We've got a grotty scene in London. I can tell you, I'm overlooking the city, and we've got sort of an effort at snow, but it's more of a driving windy sleet at the moment. I do. It looks a bit muggy in Chennai. We've got a picture on the television of the beach. Not that many people on it.
I think I know where I'd rather be, Mark.
Yeah, well, there is that. But we are, all of us, enjoying this studio that's been set up for us here at TalkSport, and enjoying the cricket immensely because it's had so much interest on so many different levels. Now, about that from Jack Leach, lovely ball. It was left alone by Sundar, but he followed through. He really got stuck into that delivery. The beauty of having got rid of the man who persecuted him earlier in the day. Rishabh Pant really went hard at Jack Leach, and I mean like 10 and over stuff. Now I get a spring back in that Leach step, the spring that has taken wickets for Somerset in the county championship so regularly on a dryish pitch down in Taunton. A single there for Sundar. He drives it to mid-on, who was obviously loitering a little too deep probably. I think either you don't allow the single or you drop back a bit further than that, but it's easy for me to say from here. Empty stands in Chennai, disappointingly, but by no means an empty cricket match. In fact, anything but. It's been full of all the things we love about the game, as Leach plays or bowls a very straight ball that doesn't spin, and Ashwin comfortably plays forward and pushes it to cover. A slip and a short leg. I say all the things. Yeah, I know what you're going to tell me, Jared. West Indies have won it, I'll bet.
No, there's been a wicket. The scores are tied, and they're now 7 wickets down with 3.5 overs to spare.
That ball's left alone outside off stump, but it did spin a bit. Whoa, what a test match. I think it must be one of the highest, top 3 or 4 highest run chases in history, mustn't it?
Fifth highest run chase in history. If they get it at the moment. Well, still a couple short.
3 wickets, come on. This isn't the 2020 match in Dubai, you know.
3 overs left.
2 to 8 for 6 here in Chennai. And Leach gives that a little more air, and Ashwin drives. It's a very good bit of fielding by Rory Burns, who is a good fielder at short extra cover.
It give it a little bit more air, Mark, but it was a better length. I think Bats could maybe touch on it, but it was a better length rather than the drive, the drag down when he bowls that bit flatter.
And the same with that ball. This time Burns couldn't get to it, but Jofra does with his feet.
Good old size 12.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's just a shame that Mason Greenwood wasn't on hand to tap it in the back of the net. 229 for 6 then, after 60 overs of exciting batting. Sundar 16, Ashwin 2. A deficit of 349, so a big advantage to England with only 4 wickets in hand, and bowlers, of course, to follow. Goffey's just slid back into his seat. People disappear and they for coffee or conversation or to read the paper. Even in conversation, people have to be 2 meters apart. It's very strict here, isn't it?
Very, very strict. Yeah,
which is good.
I like to go out there and just sit on my own and look out over London.
Yeah, well, you can't see much at the moment. It's a pretty grim old sight.
But I miss the entertainment. I miss Pant getting out. Can you believe it?
Yeah, well, I'd like to talk about that because Root bowled an over. And he bowled very wide of off stump with his off breaks. Yep. In fact, so wide, Pant gave him a sort of almost a look of disgust twice. And then he bowled one a little straighter, just he could reach to drive, and he got a single out to long off. And I think it taught Bess that is the go. You've got to get the ball away from Pant. You've got to make him come after the ball, particularly if it's turning away from him. And sure enough, that's exactly how he got him in the next time he bowled at him. I felt for Pant, he thoroughly deserved 100. It was a brilliant and entertaining innings, but he was the cause of his own downfall, as indeed apparently all but about 7% of wickets are. The batsman must take most of the blame. That last ball was defended, Best bowling to Ashwin, and Ashwin now waits and goes forward. Lovely forward defence, if there is such a thing. I think there is a perfectly played forward defence. Yes, go on, Jared. It's happened, has it?
It has happened. 210 not out. Kyle Mayers, as I said, 28-year-old, first-class batting average of 28. His first test in the 4th innings, and he's got them to a 395, the 5th biggest chase in Test cricket history.
Well done, West Indies. What a thing. What a great thing. On the back foot is Ashwin as he pushes it out to cover for no run. It's a great thing because West Indies cricket needs Test cricket to retain not just its importance but its interest amongst the people, and that will fire up the islands of the Caribbean. 229 for 6 here as Best comes in again, and back goes Ashwin, and half pulls and half works a ball that was quite straight to square leg, who is back. So there's a single there, a bit of an in-out field. I'm not sure I'd bother with Leach back there. I might have him up on the 1, but I'm not captain of England. 230 for 6. Washington Sundar on 16, Ashwin now on 3, and it's Sundar who is taking guard to Bess, who will be hoping to rip one out of that rough that's creeping now more towards off stump. There's a slip and a silly point in place. Gareth Batty has joined Darren Gough. We'll hear from him in just a moment as we watch a twirl of the bat from Sundar, who looks the batsman. He looks the cricketer. He's neat, tidy. Another young, slim man, and he easily works that ball leg side. He's turned back by Ashwin because he thought there might be a single in it, but there's an ease to his batting in general. Dom Sibley sharp at square leg there, denying the run. Sundar looks again as if to say, well, there was a run there, wake up Ashwin. But Ashwin looks back at him as if to say, mind your own business, it was my call. It was just behind square, that ball, not just in front. And that's left alone outside off stump. Wide outside it, or fairly wide, and it's missed by Butler. And what does it go for? Is this by? No shot offered, and therefore it's a dead ball. And that 61 overs gone, 230 for 6, and Gareth Batty's here. Mixed old bag, I said, from Dom Bess, particularly as he's got a touch of the full tosses of late.
A little bit, but 4 for 54, you're taking that every day of the week, and he's earned the right for those wickets. He's bowled very nicely from ball one. He's bowled strong balls. He's looked to, if in doubt, he's bowled his best, strongest off spinner. He's just learning, like you said. I totally agree with what you said about the Joe Root thing. You've got to take it away from Pant. We saw Nathan Lyon doing that in Australia. He only really got whacked when he bowled it straighter on him. But it's just a question of being able to use that rough. It's quite wide at the minute, but it's just show a couple out there to then come back a bit straighter. Try and drag the batters across the crease to bring in all the dismissals that you want of LBW's bowls and then caught on the outside. But he's bowled fantastically well.
It'll be Jack Leach, bareheaded, bald-headed too, as he comes in now and he bowls just a tad short, and it's easy enough for Ashwin to go back and hit the ball out to deep extra cover. That sweeper there is very straight, so there's a comfortable single. There have been a lot of good batsmen, really good batsmen, I mean class batsmen, who've been good off spinners. I think it helps to understand the mind of your opponent. Most of them too really spin the ball. Kevin Peterson is a good example of one, and Root certainly a good example of another, as that ball's too straight, and so Sundar gets a single as he flicks it away off the back foot to deep backward square. And I think Root was educational there, but is also effective himself, as he proved in Sri Lanka the other day.
Absolutely. Myself and Goffey were talking at the lunch break. He's worked very hard on his bowling and he shouldn't discount it. At the moment in this game it's not massively needed, so that's fine, and get the others on. Nice ball, lovely loop, flight, spin and bounce. Yeah, beautiful balls. It's Josh Butler, quite right. And it was well left by Ashwin, who, as I say, played a good rear guard to help save the Sydney Test for the Indians against Australia. So he's got some form of late. That ball's just a bit too straight, but it's okay. It's also impressed Butler, who applauds him, but it was met with a straight old bat, that, by Ashwin. 21 balls now for his 4. This time he goes back and plays a delicate cut, and will certainly get one. The field has raced round. Dan Lawrence is out there, and he's raced round to ensure that he can't come back for 2. 1 ball in this over remains. It'll be bowled to Washington Sundar, and you'd hope that Leach will get into that horrible area outside off stump at a fullish length. We've seen a fair few balls kick out of there throughout the match, actually, not just today. Sundar now is in his guard, and Leach tempts the drive, which is mistimed by Washington Sundar. End of the over. 17 for Sundar, 5 for Ashwin. It's 233 for 6.
Yeah, listen, everybody needs a little bit of confidence, and that would be good for Jack Leach, just to go for a couple of singles in that over. I think it's important he gets a few overs now under his belt, not go for many runs. If he can pick up a 2 of this lower order batsmen of India, he goes from it. Still, listen, he's got a lot to think about, because I think they're going to come at Jack Leach throughout this series, and it's definitely something he's got to think about, the pace at which he's delivering it, and have some variation. You've talked about Joe Root bowling wider. We talked about the way to get him out, and Dom Bess turning away from the left-hander. You want him to hit across the line. If there's going to be any turn or one stops in that pitch and dusts up, that's the way to get him, and that's the way he finally fell, wasn't it? So it was a good bit of bowling from Dom Bess, and obviously captaincy from Joe Root as well.
Well, we've got a surprise change, I think we'd call it. Ben Stokes coming into the attack. He just bowled 3 overs this morning. A couple of them round the wicket, trying to bomb Pujara and Gill, and then the other one more orthodox over the wicket, bowling a line just outside off stump. And then he was whipped out of the attack and the spinners got into gear. But he's going to bowl now with a slip and a gully, a sweeper back on the offside, an extra cover and a mid-off, then a mid-on, a mid-wicket and square leg. So a pretty orthodox field. Can he get something? Can he find that Stokes magic here? He ambles in rather than sprints in, and the ball just carries to Jos Buttler. A long time since he's bowled. Of course, doesn't have a lot of work in those legs. Played any cricket since the end of the IPL, the late IPL this year. 233 for 6 here in Chennai. Go Goffey.
Well, the good thing about Ben Stokes is he hasn't played much cricket, but I've seen him plenty of times bowling into his garage doors back at home, and also they've also been going to Loughborough, haven't they? And bowling outside in one of those indoor nets, well, outdoor heated nets, and
marquees.
All marquees, yeah. All the guys have been.
Is that a bowl that nips away off the seam and beats Ravi Ashwin? Proper leg cutter.
It was. That's why he's probably been brought onto bowl, coming wide of the crease. Ben Stokes, I think it's a ball he's worked on a lot of late, where he's bowled a lot of leg cutters. He's got some success with it, and as we can see there, that's wide of the crease, slanting into the right-hander, and just cuts away from him.
Oh yeah, that pitch is off stump. That's well, it was pretty unplayable as it was. Here he comes again, and this is too straight, and Ashwin goes back and works it leg side. Stokes has that magic with the ball in his hand. It doesn't happen every day, but when it happens, it has tremendous effect. He really is a cricketer who makes things happen, almost by the force of his will and personality as by his skill. 234 for 6 here. Good day's cricket. England batting on this morning, making 578. They kept India in the field for a total of 190 overs and 1 ball. And now they've taken 6 Indian wickets. I think if you'd offered them that as their day so far today, they'd have taken it. He bowls a full ball. Sundar plays a lovely plays a lovely leg glance. He's got all the traits of a cricketer, has Washington Sundar. And he gets a single down to long leg. Stokes is longer hair these days. I think he's benefited from a bit of help, and it completely changes his look, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? It's amazing, isn't it? Looks 10 years younger. The people who have that done, hey?
That's the Botox, isn't it?
It looks good. Looks good with hair.
So does your advertisement in the Times newspaper. We see in other places all the time. Ewan Warney, and that's a push to mid-off for no run by Ashwin off a full ball from Stokes.
They've got a full cricket team.
Have you?
Well, there's a full cricket team that have gone through the procedure. Loads of them. A few in the England team as well.
It's hair implant, isn't it? Not transplant.
No, transplant.
Is it transplant?
Yeah.
Well, it comes from one place to another. The hair's not man-made.
It's your own hair. It's nobody else's hair.
Okay.
From the back of your head.
Good company.
Onto the top of your head.
Good company run by a good man.
Yeah, Carl Howell.
Defended on the back foot
Studios.
there. No run from that. The end of the Ben Stokes over. 235 for 6. We've got Gareth Batty and Darren Gough here, and Andrew McKenna ready to go.
You don't have to buy yourself a cat, take that into the surgery and they skin the cat and lob it on your head.
No, not quite the cat, but there is a few who have gone down that route where it is someone else's hair, but not for Ben Stokes. He's gone down it's his own hair. And he looks good on it.
It does look very good.
Yeah.
As do your good self, Goffey.
Thank you.
Looks very sharp.
Yeah, not bad for 50.
You didn't look quite so sharp on that photo you put on Twitter earlier this morning, complaining about having to get up at 1:30 on a Sunday morning.
Well, it's not easy, is it? I mean, I'm normally coming in at that time.
Yeah, exactly. We're supposed to be 20 minutes away from the end of the day's play. There's still 14 overs to bowl, so we're going to be doing some overtime. Jack Leach is going to be bowling at the pavilion end to Sundar. Jack Leach's 12th over. 2:35 for 6 here on TalkSport 2. A slip in place and a short leg, and Jack Leach was starting in and then bailed out on it.
He had a bit of a look at Ashwin at the non-strikers then. Do you reckon he said, I've got your badge as well here, pal?
Yeah. Sort of poacher turned gamekeeper. Leach goes in, Sundar right forward, stretching forward, pushes out on the onside, no run.
Or it was a case he was going into ball and thought, oh no, it's not Pant again, is it? And stopped.
Yep, Jack Leach did not have the easiest of times earlier. Now is the time to make hay. He goes in, bowls over the wicket. Jos Buttler is screaming for an LBW because Sundar has just stuck the right pad down the pitch. Now, they're actually having a conversation about potentially reviewing this. This would really be a leap of faith. They're going for it, England, and they've got all of their reviews left, so it's one of those. They've figured, well, they might as well have a go and then just see what the Hawkeye says in terms of the flight of the ball. So we go for the review.
LBW, original decision is not out, no shot offered. It's a fair delivery. Ball tracking, please.
So the first point is the England bowler hasn't overstepped, as they haven't done in this game, compared to what India were doing earlier on. And now we will start the process. The only problem is that ball tracking does take a little bit of time to actually line up the technology.
I'll tell you what, I reckon it'd be a brave man that bets against Joe Root here. Everything he's done in this game so far has been magnificent, absolutely bang on. From his planning pre-game to then the execution on the field, I reckon this could be knocking middle out and he's on his way.
And to try and get his left-arm spinner into the game. He's got 3 reviews left, so he wants to use one. He's trying to get his bowler some confidence. He knows he could play a part in this series, Jack Leach.
We are still awaiting the technology to kick in. Because there's no bat involved, we don't have to go through the process of SNCO and all of that, so we're just waiting for them to line up the ball tracking, and all the players are now standing looking at the screen, awaiting a replay, just as we are, to see the technology. Jack Leach, they're making the agony just that little bit longer for him. He's hoping and waiting. And everyone waits. 4:15 in Chennai. Shadows starting to creep onto the ground, and still we wait for the technology. This is the moment that Jack Leach is thinking, oh no, they're going to turn around in a minute and say, sorry, the technology's not working, they'll just give it not out.
Still waiting for ball tracking.
It kind of looks like that, it's taken so long. You've got the England bowling coach now coming into play. He's not happy.
Yeah, Chris Silverwood's walking forward as if to say, what's going on here, chaps? We did have a game, was it in the West Indies or was it in Sri Lanka, where they actually said the tracking wasn't working properly for it, so we had an hour's play where they told the players there'll be no reviews. I'm trying to remember which tour it was. I think it was it South Africa or the West Indies? My mind's completely gone. Oh, come on, please. Jack Leach needs this. Don't put him through this.
Yeah.
South Africa, Army says that we had that. We are still waiting.
Okay, so
shall we start a slow hand clap? Because if there was a crowd in, that's what they'd be doing.
So my guess is that this isn't going to be hitting the stumps. It's going to be not out. But if we stop right here...
Hey, we finally got it right. So it's pitching a long way outside the stumps. And it's high and wide.
It's bouncing over the stumps, so 1 bounce 4 if we're going on that tracking. Where's that come from?
There's a little bit of Schrodinger's cat there.
We've said this throughout the game. Some of the ball tracking, the bounce, I've not seen bounce like that the whole game. They seem to be going over the stumps by a long shot every time they go to the ball tracking.
So if we hadn't have got the ball tracking, in Jack Leach's mind, he still could have thought that was out. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to say, poor Jack's been desperate for that bounce the whole day.
Well, he's back at the end of his mark. He's about to come in past umpire Chowdhury, and then Sundar has backed away and says, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not ready. It's not like we've not just had a 2-minute wait. Short leg, slip, shortish mid-wicket for the clip. and it's going to be worked into the leg side by Sundar, and he's going to take it to mid-on and scamper through for a single. So Sundar goes to 18, brings Ashwin back onto strike. He's got 6 from 27. India 236 for 6 here on TalkSport 2. They trail by 342 runs. Neil Manthorpe mentioned earlier Ashwin's record with the bat. It's incredible. He averages 49.9 against England in home test matches. And he watches this one, pitched just outside of off stump. It bounces and turns. It's very well watched. It's a cracking delivery, but it will go down in the scorebook as a dot ball.
I think for a good period of time in his career, he was right up there with the leading all-rounders in the world, wasn't he? Mid-30s with the bat and early 20s with the ball.
Leach, left arm round. Ashwin just pushing into the offside, and there's no run. Yeah, before this one, 9 games, 549 runs at 49.9, with a best of 91 not out and 6 scores of over 50 against England in home games. Leach in once again, solidly played out of the middle of the bat, just pushing out on the offside by Ashwin, and that completes the over. 64th. India 236 for 6. This is TalkSport 2. This is Darren Gough.
Well, a good couple of overs for Jack Leach, actually. He's got through a couple of overs without going for many runs, and as I said, he's going to be an important player for England if they're going to win this series. He's got none for 85 off the 12 overs, so it's all good for his confidence. Now Pant's gone, if he can just pick up a couple of wickets, Bats, you know what it's like in this situation. It'll just help him moving forward.
It's claw yourself back into it, isn't it? Claw yourself back into the situation. And there's one thing from an England point of view, they desperately don't want to be leaving him out because they want somebody to turn it away, to marry up with Bess and Root and Ali. You know, you've got 3 off spinners and only one guy turning it away, so they desperately need him to get into the series.
Stokes is going to go around the wicket to Sundar outside of off stump, and he leaves it alone. He goes through to Jos Buttler, no run.
I say you can go back to the theory on it, which for his own personal confidence, he needs to pick up wickets. But the good thing is, looking at this test match and the way it's going, he's going to get a few overs in the second innings. And he's got a good chance to pull it back. And if they're going to play attacking with a ball expected to turn even more in the second innings, and the odd one does, so he might have a good chance in the second innings anyway. So he gets another run at it.
Yeah, I think England...
Stokes is in, outside of off stump, left alone by Sundar.
I think England will be thinking if they're going to move forward and win this test match, Jack Leach is going to have to play a part in some wickets there, definitely, with some partnerships, whether it be the seamers at one end, whether it be a spin partnership of himself and Bess. There's a huge part to be played there as these rough areas open up, and it can all change very quickly, can't it?
Joe Root and Jos Buttler just having a little giggle amongst themselves, slipping them wicket-keeper as Stokes now comes in outside of off stump, and it rather dies on Jos Buttler as it goes through to the keeper. If it didn't bounce in front of Buttler, then it was very close to bouncing for a second time.
There's definitely a resilience that bowlers require, possibly more than batsmen at times, because you've got 6 balls in your over. You've got to keep coming back. You don't just walk off when your day's finished. You've got to keep coming back. So Jack's just got to dig deep and remember some tough days and remember that he can come through it.
Stokes around the wicket. That one is straighter, and Sundar has to play at that, and he pushes it back down the pitch, and Stokes fields in his follow-through.
I know Stokes is a wicket taker, he's got a golden arm, but I'm surprised the captain Joe Root hasn't just given himself another couple of overs here and then get Bess back into the attack as soon as he can. But just to give Dom Bess a rest, Joe Root could come back on. He's a dangerous, he gets turn, he gets bounce.
Absolutely, he takes wickets. Of course, that 4 for him, Port Elizabeth last winter. Stokes around the wicket, tries to dig it in short. That's round about thigh high, maybe waist high, as Sundar rides the balance, turns it out to backward square leg and takes a single. He goes to 19, 237 for 6.
Plus, it wouldn't be unheard of that certain batters play the man that's bowling the ball, not always the ball that's coming down. And Joe Root's street cred couldn't be any higher right now. He's the dominant force in world cricket. It just does not get better than the position and stature he finds himself in. Make no mistake, that's a pretty good advantage to have.
Final ball of Stokes' 5th over. He's on the way. Right arm over to the right-handed Ashwin. Ashwin solidly in behind this. And there's no run to complete the 65th over. 237 for 6 India, replying to England's 578 all out.
It's almost like as well with Ben Stokes, he looks frustrated himself, doesn't he? I know he gets, when he's not bowled for a while, he gets really sore toes, doesn't he? He really struggles with that and that front foot. He really hits that crease hard. He's not bowled for a long time. So you're better off resting him and using when you need. There's no reverse swing out there. Joe Root is a wicket taker. He's got 200 in the match. He's took a diving catch. He's the captain. Just get him on, bowl a couple of overs. Even Dan Lawrence. Dan Lawrence bowls plenty of off spin for his county, and he's bowled for England as well. So listen, he's got plenty of options, and they're more likely to take wickets than the seamers at this moment in time.
The difficulty is, if Ben Stokes comes up to you and says, "Captain, I'll finish this innings off," you're going to give him a go at you. So if he's come up and said that, the great mate is going to go for his talisman maybe first. It's a difficult one, isn't it?
The body language didn't tell me that, though, at the end of that last over. It told me, like get the spinner on.
Jack Leach then for over number 13 of his in this innings. Left arm over. Oh, that's an absolute beauty. It's spun through to Jos Buttler. Now, are they saying it's brushed the pad on the way through? It only narrowly missed off stump as it was. So if it's brushed anything, Jos Buttler is saying, then it surely must have gone on to hit the stumps if it didn't brush something. There's 2 seconds left and England have reviewed it.
But they're desperate to gain a wicket. I've no idea what that's for. Whether they think it's touched his glove on the way through. That's all I can think, Bats. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, it was a wideish ball. It hit the rough. Yes, it spun, but he's not playing a shot again. His arms and bat felt as though they were out of the way, didn't they?
Any glove?
Possibly, but I don't know.
It's a review for LBW. We just heard the third umpire say. So they're thinking it must have just brushed the pad on the way through, therefore. Because I say, it only just missed off stump by a coat of varnish anyway. So I think Jos Buttler is absolutely saying, without that brush on the pad, it therefore must have gone into the stump. Now, of course, because it's been given not out, it has to go clattering into the stumps, not be brushing it, with the umpire's call.
I think it'd be Jack's luck today that it's shown to be bouncing 4 foot over the stumps,
well, yeah,
but over middle. So right to give it a go, but it's bouncing too much.
And now we've got the delay while they line up the replay.
They've got to go plug it in.
Jack Leach is wandering around with hands on hips. He's realised, I think, that he's going to have to go through this whole heartbreaking situation once again. He's wandering around waiting.
I think Baxter's got a good point. There's every chance if it goes to the ball tracking, but it's going to be going over. Absolute every chance from what we've seen so far.
I'd like to see the first replay again, actually, and see how close in high it was, because there was only the tiniest of brush, and compare that with what DRS is going to say. Right, here we go, DRS. It's turned off of the pitch, and it is given as missing the stumps just...
missing, on-field umpire on screen, please. Anil, you stay with your original decision. You are on screen.
Just over the top of the off stump is what DRS says there.
To be fair, what we saw on that replay, Jos's gloves are above the stumps as he takes the ball. It's kind of, we might just have missed an opportunity, possibly.
Well, again, I think they're trying to get Jack into the game. I really do. I mean, he's took 2 chances on Jack Leach. Now trying to get him that wicket.
Well, Sundar stays there, 19 not out from 38. That one was arguably the closest one that we've had in terms of DRS review. Anil Chowdhury, the standing umpire, though, got it right. Sundar will now settle down. And here comes Leach for the second ball of this over. And Sundar's aiming a big drive at that one. He's clothed it straight back to the bowler on about the third bounce. But that was just an opportunity there for Sundar to stretch his arms a little bit. England trying to find this. We're now just seeing the replays of the DRS. Come back to that in a moment. This one takes Sundar on the body as he's squared up a little bit to that delivery by Jack Leach. It bounces out on the offside. And you can see the faces in the England dressing room as the review is given as not out. There was a few surprised looks in that England camp. I think they thought that one was going to get given.
No, it just didn't look out. I mean, none of us thought it was out when we first saw it, did we?
Leach inside edge from Sundar, squeezing it out on the onside to Ollie Pope at short leg, no run.
Yeah, just looking at how Leach has bowled these first 4 balls of this over, he's just searching. He's searching in his action. The previous ball to that one was perfect. Back of a length with pace into the surface.
Leach is fuller on that occasion. Sundar stretching forward, no run as he defends.
Sorry, I shouldn't use the word pace. A strength of ball into the area, so the batter has to make his decision and commit to it. When he's fuller like this last ball, he can sort of make a decision, then move again and move again to defend. It's kind of make him commit to his first decision.
Leach forward to complete the over, takes it on the front pad to Sundar, and Gareth Batty immediately sticks his thumb up. He's happy with that one. End of the over, 66 gone, 237 for 6. So that is exactly what you're talking about there, Bats.
Yeah, I mean, that's brilliant. It's good action, and if you've got a good action, he holds his right arm up and then his left arm powers through, his body goes down to the target, and on this occasion the target is a big bit of rough just outside off stump. The ball just fractionally goes outside the line to then spin back in. The batsman has to make a decision early, commits to it. No surprise that it wraps him on the knee roll of the pad, and you feel like there's something going to happen.
It's energy, isn't it? Energy through the action, and I agree totally with you. I mean, the problem with Jack sometimes, and I've seen him up close as well, and you've played against him, Bats, is but he can just put it on. He lets the pitch do the work. He plays at Taunton. We know it turns there, but he's still got to play when it's not turning, although this one is. He's got to put plenty of energy into each delivery, and he'll get his rewards.
Ashwin is going to face Stokes. That's a short ball. Good short ball as well by Stokes. Ashwin gets out of the way and it's through to Joss Buttler, no run.
Yeah, I suppose what we're saying is don't wait for it to happen now. That last ball was beautiful. You're a very good bowler, my friend. You pick your lead in England spin attack. Get out there and trust yourself again and ram it into that foothole and you'll get your rewards.
Is that likely to be the conversation that Joe Root is having with Leach? You know, just reminding him that, mate, you're the best left-arm spinner in England. That's why you're here. Stokes on his way once again. Right arm over. Ashwin is just playing quietly out on the offside, no run.
Possibly. I would suggest that might come from Jeetan Patel, his spin coach. Keep confident and working very hard and very closely with the boys. I know they're doing some great stuff behind the scenes that we don't always see on game days. Hopefully it all transfers into that. But yeah, I mean, you know that's Joe Root's way of doing things. He backs his players. The way he spoke about Sibley the first innings, he backs his players and wants them to thrive in this environment.
Ben Stokes has the ball, turns at the end of his mark and is on his way in past umpire Menon. And Ravi Ashwin has got no intention of playing an attacking shot at that, just in behind it and pushing it back down the pitch, no run.
Just to let you know the difficulties of playing in India as well, you can already see a few jaded faces there on the England in the England side. And remember, they've not been in the field the full day yet. So imagine if they would have made them follow on and have to field for 3 days. It wouldn't be easy. So I think the best thing for England is to bat again and create some pressure for India.
Stokes in, right arm over. Ashwin is getting a ball that doesn't bounce that highly. He's just playing it quietly out on the offside. Takes a single. Ashwin goes to 7, 238 for 6. Because the lead is 340.
Just quickly, because as we were saying, and Army said earlier, he said some of these guys have not been outdoors, they've not played in the game for a while, and getting overs under your belt out in the middle, they're doing it on the hop, and so it's going to be very difficult in these conditions. So we've got to manage the ball as well as during this match and during this series.
Yeah, Test cricket's called it for a reason. It tests your body, skill and mind. And certainly playing in India against a very good India team, it's going to do that.
Stokes around the wicket to Sundar. An attempted Yorker that he tried to work into the leg side, and I think it's landed on his foot, if not very low down on the front pad. And he's hopping around Sundar at the moment.
I'm curious, Goffey, I've got one for you. Stokesy obviously has got that sort of toe problem, the foot problem. Is there a method in the madness of saying, let's get some overs in so that it almost either bursts the blood vessels, rips the nail off, whatever, just to get going, to almost hurt yourself? Do you know what I mean? To then get yourself going?
Yeah, I do. I don't want the burst blood vessel, but yeah, the top.
Yeah.
Stokes in. It's a lovely drive by Washington Sundar. Beautiful cover drive. There's a chase on it from Dan Lawrence, but he's not going to get there. It goes away for 4. Sundar goes to 23. 2:42 for 6 are India. There are still 10 overs left in this third day. After some more thoughts from Goffey,
Neil Manthorpe will take you through to the close of play.
It's something I sort of played, sorry. But
I was trying to say blister and I couldn't get it out.
When you bang down on that front foot and you get the bruised nail, honestly, it's so painful. I know it really, really is, because you're hitting the ground and that crease at such force. And after a while, it gets worse and worse and worse. And then it gets to the point when you have to get the needle in and they have to draw out the blood, you're right. And then you can start again, almost. It's like the pain's gone, you can start again. But it's an horrible process to go through if you suffer from that. It's like other guys who suffer from getting blisters. Some guys, as soon as they put on a new pair of shoes, they get blisters. Some guys don't.
At last, something I can physically relate to is the veteran of 25 marathons. Jack Leach is in once more around the wicket to Ashwin, pushes that up towards mid-off. I once had the great privilege of commentating with the one and only Courtney Walsh. Here's Leach again, and that one is steered away behind square on the offside, and there's no run, played straight to backward point. And I asked Courtney whether he was interested in coming for an early morning jog with me before the start of play. He looked at me as if I should have been elsewhere. That's punched off the back foot like in an asylum out towards extra cover, and there's a man on the boundary, comes in, keeps him down to a single. Anyway, after some time and a lengthy rain break, we worked out how much running Courtney Walsh had done in his professional career. Now he bowled more overs than almost any fast bowler in history, because he played 14 consecutive years for Gloucestershire, as well as all the cricket for the West Indies. Here is Leach once more, and that's pushed away on the onside, or hits him on the pad actually, and there's no run. 2:43 for 6. And you know, Courtney wasn't one of those cricket. I think he played in the pre-resting era. You didn't rest. If you could walk, you played. And without including walking from third man to fine leg, here is Leach once again, and that's pushed away defensively by Washington Sundar out in the offside. Without including nets, practices, without any of that, only the overs that he bowled, including the odd one that he used to bowl off 6 paces, because he had that famous, here's Leach once again, turned away behind square on the leg side. He played a 20-year career, including every official list A or first class game or international, just bowling, and we included no balls because he bowled 1,000. So we included that, and we worked out that of a 30-yard run-up, how many standard marathons, how many 26.3 miles marathons do you think that came to, Harmy, in his 20-year career?
I wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't have a clue.
It'll make your eyes water, because you've
100.
It's a very, very good guess. You think it's crazy, don't you?
Yeah.
93 and a half.
3.5 marathons. It's crazy, and it is. Bats, and Goffey and Bats are making a point there and trying to harden the body up. And it probably is a chance for Joe to throw the ball to Ben Stokes and harden the bowling muscles up. Whether it's the side, the shoulders, your front foot. The science is there's 8 times your body weight goes through your front foot every time you let go of the ball. When you're a seamer and you're a big fast bowler, you can imagine there's a lot more weight going through the front foot of me and Goffey were bowling now compared to what we did during our careers. But still, it's some weight that, and it's some effort. And like you see at the minute with Ben, when Ben lands, I think like Bats, the point that Bats is making is he just needs his body hardening up. It's when you get rid of a sore or a blister, you need the body just to sort of toughen it up and around the edges, and fingers crossed it will get better as he gets more bowling inside him.
Dom Bess back into the attack. India 244 for 6, trailing by 334. Here is Bess, another full toss. He's bowled plenty of those today. Straight full toss, driven straight back to him, and he gets down on one knee to field it and got down very quickly. Washington Sundar 24. R. Ashwin 8. India 244 for 6 in reply to England's massive 578. Bess in once again. Nice shape in, just drift into the left-handed Sundar. Pushes that out on the offside. So you'll know now, Harmy, if anybody ever says to you, do you ever run a marathon? You'll be able to say, no, but I ran about 30 in my career.
Yeah, and I feel as though I did that now, definitely.
Here is Bess once again. Sundar comes forward and pushes it up towards mid-on. I reckon if Courtney Walsh bowled 93 and a half, am I being conservative saying 30 for you? Probably half Courtney's, maybe.
Probably half of Courtney's. I played a lot of first-class cricket, and I think if you go in on the field and...
Yeah, I reckon you. Well, it's another very high full toss. That's virtually above knee height. That's almost a thigh-high full toss. And it's such a surprise to Washington Sundar that he pushes it rather tamely and disappointingly straight to mid-off.
Yeah, he's bowling, to be fair to Dom Bess, he's bowled his full tosses at the right person.
Yes, good point. Good point. Here is Bess once again, and that's a much better line. It turns a bit too, and it's just short enough for Washington Sundar to late steer down to short third man or backward point. They go through for another single, and Washington Sundar moves on to 25.
He shaped up very well, to be fair. Washington Sundar, he bowled okay. He didn't have the help and the assistance in the surface that Dom Bess and Jack Leach have got, but he bowled reasonably well for an inexperienced spinner, off spinner, and he's batted and shaped up very, very nicely in defence. He's put the bad ball away that's been on offer. He's been a good ally and good partner for Rishi Pant, and then obviously when R. Ashwin's come in, Ashwin, he 8 off 38 balls, just trying to take the sting out of the deer and get India to the end of the day without any more damage and keep England in the field and grind England down and tire them out.
Slip short leg and a silly mid-off now as Ashwin goes back to the last ball of that over from Dom Bess, and it hits the middle of the bat, rolls gently out into the offside, and there's no run. Ashwin has 8. Washington Sundar has 25. India at 245 for 6, and well aware that people are tuning in as we come towards the end of day 3, and would like to have a catch-up on what's happened. England batted for just under an hour this morning into the third morning, adding 23 runs before they were bowled out for 578. Dom Bess made 34, and Jasprit Bumrah took 3 for 84, and R. Ashwin 3 for 146 in 55.1 overs. That's the most he's ever bowled in a test innings. And then India's reply slumped dramatically to 73 for 4 as Jofra Archer and Dom Bess took a pair of early wickets each, but the damage was repaired in spectacular fashion by Rishabh Pant, who made 91 from 88 balls before Dom Bess had him. Here comes Jack Leach back into the attack to Washington Sundar, who has been dropped by Jofra Archer at long off. Well, Washington Sundar's played a highly conservative innings so far, but he now decides to take on Jack Leach, and it was a really, really tough chance. He's halfway back on the long off boundary as Jofra Archer. He had to turn and run towards the boundary, looking to take the catch over his shoulder. He dived, he got both hands to it, but it squirmed from his grasp as he hit the ground. Well, that was a rush of blood to the head, it seemed, from Washington Sundar, completely out of character to the rest of his innings. Jofra Archer kept his eyes on it all the way, and actually it was the momentum as he fell that saw the ball squirm from his grasp. Not Jack Leach's day, I'm afraid. It just is not Jack Leach's day. Here he is once again. Forward comes Sundar, who ran 2 while the ball was being dropped. Goodness me.
Yeah, it was a tough chance for Jofra Archer, and we talk about the length of time in the field. This is probably the longest Jofra Archer's been in the field and on his feet, probably since the middle of last summer when the last test match was on.
Leach again. Forward comes Sundar. Plays it away defensively on the offside. Hits him on the pad. There's an appeal on the basis that he wasn't really playing a shot at that, but not out, says the umpire Anil Chowdhury.
But more positive signs from Leach. It was a decent ball in a good area, just a little bit wider. Trajectory was good. Pace was good. Got a bit of turn. Give him a little bit of confidence.
Leach again. Bowls. Forward comes Sundar playing defensively. I think Washington Sundar is now sort of berating himself, and he keeps shaking his head thinking, what was I doing? What was I thinking?
You can actually see that in his eyes actually after he made contact. We've got the pleasure of a replay, but he's actually hit the ball, and as he's hit the ball he's looking at the pitches to say, what have I done?
Leach again, bowls Sundar back and across, knocks it away past Ollie Pope at short leg. Ashwin sets off for a single from the non-striker's end and is sent back. So, I mean, we all know what that feels like, don't we? I mean, you know, we have a clear game plan, and then suddenly, for no possible explanatory reason, it just goes out your head.
Played 63 test match manners, probably batted about 100 times for England, and I probably had that thought about 98 of them.
That's pushed away up towards mid-on, and there's no run. Straight to the fielder, Jofra Archer. I had the pleasure of commentating on your career best. He smashed it.
I did, yeah. It was that was down here. That was at the Oval against. And we've talked to Monty about a few different things over lunch, and remember for the lunchtime features. And I did mention that to Monty, and what he said to me as we were walking off, because I hit one into extra cover at 49 not out, thinking, right, we'll just amble down the other end for one. And Monty was standing at the non-striker's end looking at probably the London bus that was going by, thinking who's on it, or the plane that was going over.
He wasn't looking at AB de Villiers.
He wasn't looking at me for that one, so I turned round. Then the next ball I've hit it straight to AB de Villiers, who's picked it up, not a problem, and Monty's about 10 yards away from me shouting one, yes, yeah. And I said to him, Monty, what are you doing? And he said, well, I wanted to get you to 50. I said, I would have hit it straight to AB de Villiers, and he just looked at me and said, I know. He says, but I thought you were a wicket keeper.
AB de Villiers was whatever he wanted to be in international cricket.
Is that the same test match that Morne Morkel came off the ground and got lost and ended up walking to the
groundsman's entrance?
Groundsman's entrance.
I think it was, yeah.
Because I was sitting down there and he had to walk over the concrete, and you've never seen anyone more disappointed but also laughing at himself.
Here's Dom Bess. New over begins with India 247 for 6.
I think it was, yeah. It was KP's first test as captain.
He walked off like a puppy. I just remember that. It just Morkel was just so upset with his head down, and then when he looked up he was like, where am I? Ended up being a Surrey player as well.
Yeah, well, he was next to the lawnmower by the time he realised that he wasn't heading towards the change room. Here's Best once again, and that one is steered out defensively by Ashwin towards point, and there's no run. From midday today, TalkSport brings you exclusive national radio commentary of Jose Mourinho's Tottenham taking on Sam Allardyce's West Brom in the Premier League. You can hear that on TalkSport. Here is Best once again, and Ashwin pushes it square of the wicket on the offside. The best way to listen to any of TalkSport's live football commentaries is to download the TalkSport app and pick the games you want to hear. Didn't Tottenham play yesterday? Gosh, or a couple of days ago.
They played Thursday night. They played Chelsea Thursday night.
Games are coming thick and fast, aren't they? Yes. Yeah. Here is Best once again, and Ashwin back into his crease, off spinner to off spinner. Ashwin knows exactly how he wants to play Dom Best, and he pushes this one out to wide of Ollie Pope at short leg. And there's no run. India still trailing by 331. Here comes Best. He's dragged that one down, maybe deliberately, I don't know. It's a short ball, and Ashwin's able to play it right off the back foot up towards mid-on. No run there. Washington Sundar 27. Ard Ashwin has 8 from 44 deliveries. Slip, silly mid-off, short leg. Bess in again. Ashwin pushes it again, just defensively. Not with quite a dead bat, but just a gentle push up towards mid-on, and there's no run there. Dom Bess is looks like he's running off. Oh no, the ball. The ball had been thrown to him, and he took his eye off it, so he had to go and fetch it in the outfield. I thought he was rushing off for a gentleman's break, but not so.
What a fantastic character our Ashwin is. You know, a great career. You know, fantastic off spinner. We talked yesterday about how good he is in Indian conditions with the ball, and the character that he's showing now, and the fight determination to keep his side in a contest with the bat as well.
It's not just because Rishabh Pant is out and Jack Leach doesn't have to bowl to him. He is getting better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's really grooving now. I think his action looks smooth and repeating, and his figures have tidied up nicely as well. 15. He's going for less than 6 now, and I know that's bad. I mean, you know, going for his run rate, conceding 5.9 runs to the over. That's full length delivery now from Leach, and I've talked him into bowling a half volley. Apologies, I take full responsibility for that. He's bowled a half volley outside the off stump, and Washington Sundar has smashed it through the extra cover. But I mean, that's the domestic equivalent of reversing your car into a lamppost, whereas his first 6 overs went for 10 and over, which is the equivalent of driving it head on into a wall.
Yeah, that was head on into a wall at 80 mile an hour. It was, it definitely was, and confidence that you have from that, dented.
Bounce here for Jack Leach, turn and bounce, and it's nudged away off the thigh pad by Washington Sundar with the spin behind square on the leg side for a single, and he moves to 32. India 252 for 6.
It must be difficult for a spinner when you're first trying to get into the game, and all of a sudden, somebody comes out and has a go at you. You're going at 10 and over just to get the body, the shoulder, and the fingers to relax, especially when there is very, very small margin for error out there.
Here is Jack Leach once again around the wicket. Ashwin pushes it behind square on the offside. I mean, the worst thing for a spinner is that, unlike you and Goffey, they can't run in and bowl an effort bouncer and try and hit the batsman on the head, take some revenge. Outside the off stump, turn and bounce for Jack Leach off the straight, and nicely taken by Jos Buttler.
Yeah, they've got to keep persevering and keep going, and people might be listening and thinking, well, why? What do you mean small margin error? It's a turn and pitch. But these guys play all the time on turn and pitches. The top players, you look at Ashwin.
Leach into Ashwin, defends, no run.
Ashwin's a number 8 batsman, even though he's got 4 test match hundreds. In this sort of surface, this is his environment, this is his back garden. So the areas are a little bit smaller for an English bowler because of the batsman that has played and experienced it so many times.
Leach again to Ashwin. He lunges forward at this one, bat and pad closely together, and it spins almost off the face of the bat into the offside, and there's no run. India still trailing by 326. They won't have given a thought to the follow-on. I mean, there's just too much time left, isn't there? They just need to bat time here.
No, they've just got to. The game's got to. It did yesterday. It meandered into a quiet end of the game. Both sides were looking for the end of the day's play. England were quite happily because they weren't going to be declaring, so there was no, big fanfare to try and up the run rate. India were quite happy for that, and I think England, as much as they'll be looking to try and get a wicket, India trying to get through to the end of the day with just 6 wickets down. So something needs to spark to get the last sort of 5-10 minutes to ignite, but India will be quite happy to do what England did yesterday, just sort of meander the game into what is a good close of play for them, and come back tomorrow when it's a little bit more fresh and the sun's shining and the bodies are recharged.
252 for 6, and we've had 72 overs, so England have the delightful prospect of being able to take a second new ball after what'll probably be about 40 minutes play tomorrow.
A good time, man. It's a good time to take a second new ball, and when you look at it, India haven't, even though Pant has got 91 off 88 balls, they haven't got away from England. England are still totally in charge of the game, and the time that's left in the game, the wicket that they're playing on can only deteriorate and get worse, like Ben Stokes said. So, all roads to England taking charge.
Jofra Archer's back into the attack, and the first delivery is a loosener, full in at the leg stump and helped on its way around the corner to deep backward square leg. Jofra Archer bowled a beautiful spell with the original new ball, the one that's now looking very tatty and beaten up, and the stitching's beginning to fray. But he bowled a wonderful opening spell. The delivery that got Rohit Sharma was probably unplayable. I mean, Rohit must be informed to have got an edge to it.
Absolutely, and I think this is why England have got such a commanding position, because of them 2 wickets from Jofra Archer. All of a sudden, if you don't get a wicket with a new ball, when the spinners come on at non-down, then it's a completely different game. If you've got wickets with a new ball, it is like gold out in the subcontinent, and that is fair play to Archer. I've been his biggest critic away from home, but he's certainly delivered for his captain first up.
Archer in once more and steered away by Ashwin, square of the wicket on the offside. If you'd said, or if anybody had said to you, Harmy, that India will lose their openers before they've got 50 on the board, and Jofra Archer will knock both of them over, and that'll be his contribution for the day,
I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be happy. And the thing I like about it is he didn't seem to be bothered about conceding runs, and people might be wondering, well, what do you mean? That's conceding runs. You don't want to be conceding runs. That's not Jofra Archer's. Jofra Archer's job's to get wickets. If he goes up 5 and over like he did in his first spell, so be it.
Archer in again. Shorter, lifting, but rather tamely. The ball is very soft now, and Ashwin has all the time in the world just to ride that and knock it down on the onside.
And this is what his captain needs now. Joe's throwing the ball to him. What we got, 6-7 minutes left in the day's play. Joe saying to Jofra, come on, just get me one before the end of play tonight. Just one little bump. Give these a little pump. Got 6-7 balls. What's he got? He got potentially 9 balls left in his day. Just get me one more wicket, and the momentum shift and the feel-good factor going to that dressing room at the end of the day will be huge.
Here's Archer then once again, and Ashwin pushes it up towards mid-off. And of course, if he can take a wicket now and open up the tail, he has the prospect of helping himself to the tail with the second new ball tomorrow, because it is a tail, that 9-10-11. Shahbaz Nadeem, Ishant Sharma. Actually, Ishant has hung around. He's got on a number of occasions, he's got a history of hanging around.
Yeah, he can hang around, but I think if Jofra can get the ball in the right area, I just wonder if Jofra's setting Ashwin up for the big booming Yorker here. His pace has gone from 126, 129, 133, 136, all back of a length. I just wonder if he's setting up for a big Yorker.
No, again it's foolish outside the off stump and pushed away out towards the covers, straight to the fielder, and no run. Well, now's the time, last ball of the over.
It is, and you mentioned the three tail enders still to come, but England are going to have to work hard to break this partnership, because Washington Sundar's batted very, very well, and Ashwin's character over the course of his career tells you he's not about to give anything away.
Last ball of the 73rd over. India trailing by 325. 253 for 6 in their first innings. As Jofra Archer is in once again. In fact, it's a bouncer rather than a Yorker, the last ball, and it's outside the off stump, sufficiently wide for Ashwin just to rock away from it and allow it through to Jos Buttler. Washington Sundar has 33. R. Ashwin has 8. India 253 for 6. The big top 5, well actually the big top 6 for India, only one made a significant contribution. That was Rishabh Pant, who made 91 from 88 deliveries. Otherwise, Rohit Sharma 6, Shubman Gill, precociously talented opener, made 29. Cheteshwar Pujara, I beg your pardon, he made 73 from 143 balls, out in a freakish way, pulling a short ball from Dom Bess onto the shoulder of Ollie Pope at short leg. The rebound was caught by Rory Burns at mid-wicket. But Virat Kohli, King Kohli, made just 11 before Dom Bess spun one from the inside edge of his bat into the hands of Ollie Pope at short leg. Good catch. and Ajinkya Rahane caught spectacularly by Joe Root. It's a low full toss from Dom Bess, driven into the covers, and Root flung himself to his left, took a spectacular one-handed catch, and Dom Bess, the star of the day for England, with 4 for 55, Jofra Archer 2 for 52. India 253 for 6, still trailing by 325. They really just want to go as deep as they possibly can into the fourth day, keep wickets in hand, and then, I mean, I said it's a genuine 9, 10, 11. Shahbaz Nadeem has played some long innings at domestic level. He hasn't had that much international cricket. Here is Jack Leach then, bowling what could be the final, or at least certainly the penultimate over of the day, left alone outside the off stump. And Ishant Sharma too has played some long innings. He doesn't have very many runs to his name, and he doesn't really have very many shots either, Ishant Sharma, but he can hang around, and has done. Here's Leach once again, pushed away up towards mid-off. In fact, Leach does his own fielding. Jasprit Bumrah's a worthy number 11.
Yeah, he's definitely in the league, which you would say that is a genuine number 11. Up there with the likes of Philip Tufnell, Devon Malcolm, and the like from an English contingent.
Nudged away out in the onside. Danny Morrison, Courtney Walsh. Yeah.
I love that story with a cat, Phil Tufnell, and asked him why he liked batting at number 11, and it was like he didn't like walking off by himself. I just thought, typical Philip Tufnell, brilliant.
Very good. 253 for 6. Here is Jack Leach once again. Oh, and that one spins off the face of the bat, down into the crease, and then into the gloves of Jos Buttler, who whips the bails off. But that was back of a length that turned and bounced, and the normal orthodox back foot defence from Sundar saw the ball, the momentum and the spin on it, saw it fizz out of the crease below his feet, between his legs actually, and then just past the leg stump. Quick reaction from Jos Buttler.
Seemed to open his legs to let the ball through.
Yeah, it did look like that in the replay. And that one again, down the leg side, spin and bounce, fizzing spin from Jack Leach. It's was there a shot played there? I think the umpires signalled byes. Doesn't matter whether there was a shot played or not. No consequence. It's been missed by Jos Buttler because it has spun down the leg side.
There's nothing wrong with a good number 11 manners. It's fun. It's good to watch. I remember I only played against the cat once, and I remember playing against him and bowled a ball which nearly hit the stumps, and I did say, how has that missed? How on earth has that missed? And his reply was, I don't know. I had my eyes closed.
3 men round the bat now. Leg slip, and a short leg, and this one's slightly too short from Jack Leach, and Washington Sundar is able to play it very easily, nudging it out onto the onside. So India 257 for 6, and the umpire, the senior umpire, the only member of the ICC elite panel of umpires from India anyway, Nitin Menon, has removed the bails at the end of the over, because that is the close of the day's play. If anybody had suggested that the first 3 days of this test match would have gone the way that they have from an English perspective, I don't think that many would have believed that it was possible for England to have 3 such good days in a row, but it's exactly what they've done, and that's why they're dominating this test match. They batted on for just under an hour this morning to make a massive 578 all out. They then reduced India to 73 for 4. Inevitably there was a fight back. There almost always is in these situations, but from 73 for 4 it was a spectacular, highly entertaining, although painful from Jack Leach's point of view, fight back, led by Rishabh Pant, who made a glorious 91 from 88 balls. But nonetheless, England remain very, very firmly in the driver's seat, and it's India who are very much in the passenger seat at the moment, trying desperately to fight their way back into this test match. And what a blow it would be to the home side if they were to go 1-0 down in the first of 4 test matches, particularly on the back of that extraordinary series win down under in Australia. But we have a long way to go, and it's not just two days in many ways, because so much more happens in the last 2 days traditionally in a test match in India than happens on the first 3 days. So although we're over halfway in terms of time, Things could happen very, very quickly from here on in. 257 for 6, India. Gareth Batty and Darren Gough give their thoughts on what has been a remarkable day for England again.
It really has. It's almost like England are writing their own script in so many ways. The fast bowlers started proceedings brilliantly after England had scrambled a few more runs this morning, getting up to a mammoth 578. It was brilliant sort of rear guard from all the batsmen and the bowlers at the end, but then led by James Anderson and Archer. I thought in conditions where you maybe not expecting your fast bowlers to perform in massive ways that they do in other parts of the world, actually taking those 2 early wickets makes it so much easier for the spinners. So much easier and so much better from a confidence point of view for your spinners to come on with a wicket down or 2 wickets down. So those 2 wickets were invaluable from Archer, and then Best getting the 4 for 50 was brilliant.
Well, I thought it was a brilliant day's cricket, Manners. I really did. I think it had a bit of everything, especially when England started bowling. You got Archer, who's bowled a terrific speed with the new ball in his hand, and that's what we've been asking for such a long time. You got the skill, as expected, from Jimmy Anderson, our most senior bowler, when it started to reverse. You got the batting of Pujara, which was quality batsmanship. And then you got Rishabh Pant, the fearless counter-attacking batting, and he was brutal, absolutely brutal on Jack Leach. What a day's play.